Please remain standing as Pastor Dan Schaefer from the Calvary Assembly of God in Hightstown, New Jersey, offers today's invocation.
Shall we pray? Almighty God, we pause to thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for this great country. We pray this day for our leaders throughout the world that are defending this nation. We thank you for this racetrack. We thank you for the sponsors. And now we ask you, as we always do, for a great race, for a safe race. We pray in Christ's name, amen. Shalom.
And here to honor America with a performance of our national anthem, please welcome from New York City, the USO Show Troupe.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the
The final family moment, and now time to climb aboard and get ready to go racing here on this most difficult track, the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. 400 miles ahead to determine who gets eliminated from the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. So let's talk about three of the main elements that will go into today's race. There's the track, there are the competitors, and then there's fate. Let's start with the track. This Monster Mile nickname's pretty well earned.
Definitely well earned, and what the drivers face around this racetrack, high banks in the corners. They also have banking on the straightaways, which makes things difficult, especially as things happen off of turn 2 and off of turn 4. You're traveling at a high rate of speed, average speed's around 160 miles an hour. There's just really nowhere to go when this gets blocked up. This track isn't very wide, so you find yourself in the middle of something that wasn't your fault from the beginning.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster, and then these straightaways are like racing through an alley or something. You really don't have anywhere to go if somebody has a problem. And when a small problem starts, it usually gets big at Dover.
So nowhere to go and hide and escape from trouble here at the Monster Mile. Now the competition. Let's just say that the give and take balance, the later we get into this race, is going to swing from give and take to all take as we go.
There's no doubt about that, and it's going to ramp up as this day goes throughout. But that's exactly what you expect, because the competition is just so close. There's just so many things going on. Matt Kenseth last week at New Hampshire, riding around, just looking for a solid top 10 effort. But there's other cars and other drivers out there that are still participating. That's what makes our playoffs different from the other sports out there, is we still have all of these out there to be a part of that.
Yeah, the racing all season long has been intense. Today it's going to be even more so. This is one of those tracks that it really does ramp up, and it makes everyone nervous that you're racing that close, and some have a lot to lose and some don't. It makes it a nerve-wracking day.
And if you get through the Monster Mile and the other competitors, then there's fate. Simply, what kind of luck are you going to have today over these 400 miles?
Yeah, you've done it all right all day long. You've had a good car. You've dodged all these wrecks. But this is a 400-mile race, and you can't breathe until the last lap of the race, because Kevin Harvick had the car to beat. Everything looked fine. Got a flat tire. He went back to 17th or so, is about as far as he got back after this, and that's what can happen to some of these guys today, and that might keep them out of the cutoff.
And you said the best thing, to the last lap. That's what it's going to be here today. Jeff Gordon last week had come in, got tires, moving his way back towards a top 5 finish, had a tire to go flat at the end of this race, relegated him to a finish that's got him in a pretty precarious position now. Is this going to happen to someone here today? We have a lot of cars finished on the lead lap. could change things dramatically at the end of this day.
So the championship picture starting today. Keselowski and Logano are through to the next round. Everybody else still in play. And again, those 9 drivers bunched tightly together from 8th through 16th, separated by just 12 points, 12 positions on the racetrack. 4 of them are not going to be able to continue with their pursuit of a championship at the end of the day today. The green flag comes up at Dover next.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover is presented by Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic Motor Oils with Pure Plus technology, motor oil reimagined, and in part by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. And 5-Hour Energy Shots.
The Monster Mile, Dover International Speedway, where race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is about to unfold. Let's go trackside.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome the Grand Marshal for today's AAA 400, former NFL football player and proud AAA member. Give it up for Brian Mitchell.
Dover, are you ready? We have a great day of racing today. We're going to have a fair, competitive race out there. Drivers, start your engines.
You can fire it up when ready.
Gotcha, 1 and 2. I got both you guys.
Ready to race at the Monster Mile. 43 cars, 400 laps around this 1-mile track, with the bottom 4 in the championship standings dropped at the end of the day. Our ESPN in-race reporter is 10th in the standings with a chance to advance in the chase. He got into that championship run thanks to his stirring Watkins Glen win in August. AJ Allmendinger talks with us on the pace laps next.
Allmendinger is pulling away. Bring it to me, baby. Bring it to me.
AJ Allmendinger is a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series winner.
We won the Sprint Cup race, Jerry!
The field beginning to roll from the pit lane of the Monster Mile, getting ready for today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Dover International Speedway. Our telecast today presented by Pennzoil. They'll make 3 parade and pace laps before the green flag, and again a reminder of what's at stake. Advancing on from the Challenger round to the Contender round in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Bottom 4 in the standings eliminated after today. The winner, if it's not Keselowski or Logano, automatically goes through. And then they'll set the rest by those point standings, and look how close it is. A.J. Allmendinger inside the cut for the moment. One of those Cinderella stories getting into the chase through that Watkins Glen win. He's our ESPN in-race reporter. He starts 28th today.
AJ, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. Good to talk?
DJ, I got you.
All right, AJ. Hey, we were just taking a look and showing the fans the point standings. Obviously, you're in a good spot there right now, but look, kind of leads to our mailbag question, and most of them were like what Jess from San Diego, California asked, and question I wanted to ask you too. Currently sitting 10th on the chase grid, what is your strategy to advance to the next round of the chase today?
Well, it's we haven't made it easy on ourselves this weekend. The Hungry Jack Chevy's been a little bit off. Felt like we learned some stuff yesterday late in the practice, hopefully to help us. But, you know, starting 28th, we're going to have to work through the field pretty quick just because I know the leaders are going to be coming real fast. But ultimately, it's just like what we've done all season. We don't worry about anybody but ourselves. We got to be perfect all day. I have to be perfect. Our pit crew's got to be perfect. And if we give everything we have, never give up. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not, that's all we can do.
Hey, AJ, I know a lot of drivers come here kind of dreading the 400 miles, but this is one that you really embrace. What is it about this style of racing at this track that you like?
It's aggressive, it's slick, it's hot out today. This track's we're going to be all sliding around. I enjoy that. I have a lot of fun with it. It's what race car driving's all about, is going out there and sliding these fast Sprint Cup cars around. So we'll see what we got. It's going to be fun. I hope everybody at home has fun. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll try to give you some good views and be aggressive, make some passes here, and get to the front.
All right, AJ. Hey, you have a fun, successful day. We'll look forward to talking with you later on. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, DJ.
A.J. Allmendinger ready to go today in his 47 machine, trying to earn a place in the next round of the chase. Our high-definition onboard views at Dover ride with Brad Keselowski, who has our Ford EcoBoost on board. Clint Boyer's carrying the 5-hour energy camera. Matt Kenseth has the Toyota on board. And Jeff Gordon has our Sunoco onboard camera. Ryan Newman's got the Quicken Loans camera. Eric Almirola, the Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs on board. A.J. Allmendinger has our Sprint camera. And Jimmy Johnson, the 9-time Dover winner, has our Chevy on board. You can see more of those onboard views by checking out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy for the enhanced race action today, live from here at Dover International Speedway. Stories from pit road as the field comes around to get the 1-to-go signal. We begin with Vince.
Well, Alan, as you noted, Jimmy Johnson has a history of taming the monster. He has won here 9 times. But when you look at the 48 recently, it's surprising to see that Johnson hasn't led a single lap since mid-August. So what will we see today? The 48 of the past 5 weeks, or will we see Jimmy Johnson in his normal Dover dominance and maybe a 3rd straight win? Doc?
You know, last week in New Hampshire, Jeff Gordon's cut tire while running 6th was deflating in more ways than one, primarily because crew chief Alan Gustafson's pit call had Jeff poised to bounce with the best tires and more fuel than anyone in the top 5. Without a doubt, the karma and chemistry between Gordon and Gustafson have been impressive. That's why many believe that it's that mojo will have the 24 car at the head of the class when this day is done.
Jason Ratcliffe has been pleased with Team 20 performance, but small mistakes and bad luck have cost the Kenson team good finishes. The mantra for today, similar performance, better results, no mistakes, contender round. Jamie Little.
Well, after a fueling issue and a crash last week, Denny Hamlin dropped 7 positions in the standings. He's now 6 points out of the top 12. Because of that, he said this is the most important race of his career. And if he runs as well in the race, Alan, as he has in practice and qualifying, he could avoid elimination.
All right, Jamie, half a lap from the start. Quick note that overnight between yesterday's NASCAR Nationwide Series race and the start of this race, NASCAR and track officials had to make a small repair to the concrete racing surface. That's in turn 4, right at the bottom, or the top of the bottom lane, if you will. So something we'll keep an eye on as we go through the day today. 400 laps, 400 miles. Think there are a few nerves down in those pit boxes and in those race cars?
I guarantee it is.
I know there's a lot, and history being made right here today in this series, NASCAR series. Actual elimination at the end of these 400 miles of 4 drivers from championship contention.
Who's in, who's out? We find out after 400 laps at Dover. Pretty interesting first lap between Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch.
And Kevin Harvick in the wall off of turn 2. I don't think you could have got a piece of paper in between if he didn't make contact with it.
Brad Keselowski and Busch racing for second spot here. Harvick, Keselowski, Busch, Hamlin, Gordon, McMurray, top 6. All single file. Single file all the way back through Kenseth and Logano. 20 and 22 racing for 13th and 14th.
Yeah, I think it was Joey Logano in the countdown show said that this racetrack will go through a little bit of a change here in this first run or two. He's not had a very good weekend so far, but sounded like he was fairly confident he'd have a decent car today.
Sounded like he kind of wanted it to change a little bit for him.
Ran good yesterday.
Here's Kenseth looking on Austin Dillon in the 3. Matt trying to pick up 12th place. Wow, look at that 3 car bobbing and weaving through the corner. Here comes Logano on Dillon now.
The driver's telling me just with the speeds the way that they are and the rubber that's being put down, the tire temperature, these cars are not driving very good this weekend. They're really having to wrestle these cars around.
I talked to Brad Keselowski yesterday, and he said his car was driving terrible in practice, but he was catching good cars. He told Paul Wolfe, he said, you better be glad there's 42 other ones driving as bad as mine, or worse, or you could be getting an earful.
Greg Biffle, one of the drivers, trying to find a way to advance into the next round of the chase, and it hasn't been an easy opening 6 laps for the Biff.
No, but watch how these drivers are willing to take some chances, do whatever they need to do to move forward. These are points that could make the difference at the end of the day. Biffle's car hasn't been driving that well, but he was willing to stick his nose in there and see what he could get.
Eric Almirola dropping back in that skirmish and almost got nipped from behind, but no foul there and kept going. Martin Truex to the inside of Paul Menard. He's back for 24th place. Pretty steady march in the opening laps for Kenseth.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Kenseth doesn't get up there and challenge for a win today. He's long overdue to get one.
Well, he certainly is that, and when you talk about slick conditions, Matt Kenseth comes to mind. A place where he started his Sprint Cup careers right here. Remember racing against him that day thinking that this guy's going to be pretty good, I believe. Subbing for Bill Elliott that day, did an outstanding job and has continued on as an outstanding driver. But this is type of track and conditions that he really excels at.
I was very curious to see Matt's quotes from when he met with the press here on Friday. He was asked, you know, how much do you want to know about your situation during the race? And he said, I don't want to know anything unless there's something I can do about it. He said, if you're telling me I got to pass 2 cars and I've been trying to pass them anyway because that's what I do, then I don't necessarily want to know that. But if you're telling me because I can't catch those 2 cars, save fuel and we might be able to get them on strategy, then I want to know that.
Now that's a good way to go about it.
Harvick, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, now Denny Hamlin and Jeff Gordon 4th and 5th.
Talking to Denny Hamlin, he felt very confident because of the run they had here back in June that they could do what they needed to do today. They could race their way into the next round of this. He knew that it was going to probably take the minimum a top 5 finish, but he felt like that they were very capable of that.
Yeah, and his qualifying run, qualifying third, took a lot of pressure off this team earlier in the weekend.
Jeff Gordon with a look.
24 was fast in practice yesterday. Like it had a good long run set up under it also.
So Jeff Gordon into the top 3. Kevin Harvick, the early leader here at Dover's Monster Mile. A familiar sight, Kevin Harvick in that red number 4, starting on pole and leading laps. Harvick with his 7th pole of the season started first in today's race here at Dover. Our telecast presented by Pennzoil, and Harvick has led all of the laps so far. You look down on Kevin from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Harvick ahead of Brad Keselowski by 0.7 of a second. Jamie McMurray, Jimmy Johnson here for 6th place. And Jimmy moving up.
What we expect out of him here. And I was talking to Jamie McMurray this morning. He felt like his car was going to be really good here once again. He liked their chances. Felt like the more this race went on, the better his car was going to get.
Yeah, when I talked to Jamie, I was asking, who's the other good cars out there? He named a few, and I said, how about that 48? He just kind of shook his head. Well, he hadn't shown a lot so far, but you know he's going to be good. Showing it right now.
Trying to be better than normal?
Yeah. It's always better than normal.
If I interpreted the conversation from Countdown correctly earlier. So there's the lead. First back to second. Harvick to Brad Keselowski, already thinking ahead in his reports back to his crew chief.
Really good into the center. We'll probably get loose there as the track takes rubber. Gonna want to be ahead of that.
And that really is a key to this track today. Talking with some crew chiefs this morning in the garage about how much conditions will change over the course of the race and how they have to anticipate and plan for that.
Yeah, the thing is if you're just kind of keeping up with it and saying, okay, it did this on that run, you make a change, and not anticipate the way the track is going, you'll find yourself behind. These long runs, you can sometimes have 70, 80, maybe even 100 lap runs, if you haven't anticipated what that track's going to do, you can find yourself really in trouble.
Jeff Gordon up to third around Kyle Busch. 24 looking pretty sporty in the early going.
Just a team that you think is ready to win, Jeff, another championship. They have speed. Their cars hold on well. Just a lot of good things that they do. What we've seen, especially this last half of the year.
But such an interesting thing with this championship system. I mean, I have Jeff going through to my Final Four down at Homestead, right? But then he has the problem late in the race at New Hampshire last week. Well, he's got to worry about getting through today before he can worry about getting through the next round, before he can worry about trying to get through the next round to race for the championship at Homestead.
And maybe that explains all the tension in the garage area I've seen.
It's just been incredible to talk to the drivers and the teams and see the pressure that they're feeling. You know, when this was all announced back in January, they said, well, you know, there's pressure every week. We race to win all the time. No, yeah, you do. You're exactly right. But things are going to be different when you break this down to 3 race series here to try to move on. And next week's just going to start that over because people feel inclined that they need to win either at Kansas or Charlotte to feel good going into Talladega.
There's going to be 12 cars tied for the lead going into next week. And I talked to Paul Wolf in the garage this morning, and they're guaranteed through this round for the win that they had at Chicago. Now, he's still feeling pressure looking forward.
Brad Keselowski in some lap traffic. You saw Matt Kenseth give up a spot, so maybe short run, long run handling of cars. He made the charge in the early laps, and then now it's kind of leveling off compared to the competition.
Yeah, with the cars spread out like they are, and they're literally running from the bottom to the top of this racetrack. You see how many grooves we have there, and how the cars how the track is taking all this rubber, changing things quite a bit. So you have to be ready just like Andy talked about. You're going to have to get ahead of this. But we've got cars strung out all around this, so these cars in the top 5 have caught lap cars and are really having to work hard out there this early in the race.
Kyle Busch, winner of yesterday's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at Dover. Former winner here in Sprint Cup competition. Running in 4th now. And there's Denny Hamlin working through some of the lap traffic in 5th. Now Jimmy Johnson catching Hamlin to race him for that spot.
Jimmy's just got such a feel for this racetrack and knows what he wants, and he comes here every time, just gets in that groove, and sometimes it's just hard to believe how good he is.
So many ways of attacking this racetrack. You can drive off down into the corner really hard. You can use brake and everything, or you can back out early, get to the gas a little bit sooner and drive it around the corner. Just so many different styles. And Jimmy's style, that has been something that Chad's been able to put a car under him all the time. And he does the same thing lap after lap over and over. And man, has it been perfect for him.
Look at the numbers.
Almost 3,000 laps led. That's incredible.
9 wins for Jimmy Johnson here. In the 10 years they've had the chase, and there's always been a chase race here at Dover, Jimmy's won 4 of those 10. And of course he comes in here having won the last 2 straight at Dover and looking to make it 3 in a row. Johnson started back in 8th place, has moved up to 6th in the opening laps, but everybody's still chasing Kevin Harvick, though Jimmy's catching up little bits at a time. Back live at Dover, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Our telecast presented today by Pennzoil, looking at the first significant moment involving some chasers as Aric Almirola, who's back in 27th place, is about to get lapped by leader Kevin Harvick. And one spot in front of Aric Almirola is A.J. Allmendinger, who told us in our ESPN In-Race Reporter segment during the pace laps that they needed to keep from getting lapped in this opening segment.
They're not going to give it up easy either. We've seen this 43 car of Almirola has been racing Harvick pretty hard. His whole season's on the line right now, so he's not really going to give him that lap.
No, you're not required to do that at any point in time until you are down. Then you get a passing flag, but he's going to do everything that he can to stay there. He's made this hard. This has gone on for about 3.5 laps now.
And you can just see at some of the camera angles, the back end of that 43 car just not being settled as he gasses it up to try and come off the corner.
You can see the 47 right in front of him struggling just as much, and Eric's really wanting the 47 to go on because he's got this higher groove that's actually holding the 4 behind him, but he's getting held up now by AJ in that 47. Now Harvick's going to be able to probably pass both of them. Now they're going to have to race to see who's going to be one lap down. This is such a tough racetrack, and you're trying to make adjustments, a lot of times you have a long green flag run here early. You're just hoping that your car is somewhat close when this race starts. Obviously, these two are not, speaking of Allmendinger and Almirola.
So now they both go a lap down, and if the caution were to come out now, the first car lap down is the one that gets back on the lead lap. I contrast that with this. In each of the last 2 weeks, a driver has come back from 2 laps down to get back on the lead lap and have a good finish. It was Greg Biffle last week at New Hampshire, along with Martin Truex Jr., and then Truex did it the week before at Chicagoland. So, not out of the question. Got to keep after it, can't give up, but it's an early hole you didn't want to be in. And on the top of the pictures, you see all day we track those bubble spots in the points. You can see as it fluctuates as running positions on the track change. Last 4 in, and the 4 that are out. As we all experience this first ever elimination race together for the first time.
You can see in that group right there that the 24, Jeff Gordon, has run up in pretty close to our 2 leaders right now, Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski.
Was that a Yogi Berra thing? We're all experiencing this first ever race for the first time?
Ever been proud, yeah.
Okay. Let me try and do this a little better. Next weekend, we're on to the Kansas Speedway for the weekend's NASCAR action. NASCAR Nationwide Series race Saturday afternoon, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. Chase Elliott, Regan Smith continue their fight for the series championship. That's on Saturday afternoon. And then race 1 in the contender round of the chase, the next 3-race bracket. Our telecast from Kansas presented by Dodge, ESPN 1 Eastern time next Sunday. Big pressure to win Kansas and Charlotte, the first 2 races in the next round, because the 3rd race is Talladega, and nobody wants to be dependent on the outcome of Talladega to advance or not advance.
Yeah, and we've recently seen some wild, crazy racing at Kansas. Fast racetrack, not a huge groove like it was since it's been repaved, so that's created a lot of contact.
When you were running behind someone, like say where Brad Keselowski is to Kevin Harvick, were you like scouting that car in front of you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're wanting to see, is there something that he's able to do with his car that I can maybe relate and make my car better, or is there something about the line that he's taking that could help me?
Our exit on the bottom is stronger than most, and that's how we can get by these lap cars. Like Harvick right now can't do that. That's why we're rolling them down and catching.
Spotter Joey Meyer talking to his driver and giving him the scouting report from up on the roof.
Yeah, and that's good information. I'm sure that Brad saw that too. And whenever your car is better in that type situation, because it's going to be passing a lot of cars by what we've seen here today. And if you can get through that lap traffic just a little bit better, that might be the opening that you'll find. We see how difficult it is to pass, even passing lap cars with the fastest car out there, the guy leading the race. So if you can take advantage of a situation like that, it may benefit you greatly.
So Harvick into more traffic here with Keselowski trying to use that to close in.
It looks like Harvick's really good through the middle of the corner, and the 2 cars better on the exit. Harvick trying to move around the racetrack there looking for grip.
Gets an excellent run on the exit of the corner, carries a lot of straightaway speed, but that makes it difficult when those lap cars are running up there in his group. Harvick trying to widen that group out even more up there.
Yeah, I think we all took a breath in there for a second to see if he was going to get all the way up to the wall or not. Kevin Harvick, Bakersfield, California native, out in front in race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup from Dover's Monster Mile. First yellow flag out in today's AAA 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here at the Monster Mile in Dover. Telecast presented by Pennzoil. A big old spring rubber laying on the track in the racing lane off of turn 4 is the cause of the caution. Don't forget NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has the enhanced coverage today from here at Dover. There it is.
Yep. Could definitely do damage at high rate of speed. Plus, there's usually what's helping hold those in, supposedly, or pieces of wire. And so if that's there, create a flat tire. And there's a lot of people that want to see this. Some could have used it sooner, but they need to do some work on some of these cars.
Yeah, one that could have used it sooner, or two were Almirola and Allmendinger, because leader Kevin Harvick passed Paul Menard and made him the first car one lap down. So Menard will get the free pass at the caution.
Well, the good thing for them, they'll be able to race for that after this restart, and usually cautions breed cautions here.
But you don't want to be as the cause of it.
No, that's true.
Pit road open this time. This Dover pit road can be a little tricky. for the teams and the drivers. It's a little more spacious than it used to be. They widened it by 4 feet 5 or 6 years ago, but it's still not exactly spacious working conditions.
Especially if somebody decides they want to pull out and make a big run out to the outside of it.
Time for the pit crews to go to work. Here they are, Doc.
Jeff Gordon said, I'm just a tick tight in the middle and a little bit tight under throttle coming off turn 4. There'll be 4 tires, get it full of Sunoco fuel, and no changes. Vince.
For Jimmy Johnson, a little tight center off. There's going to be a track bar change and air pressure adjustment with 4 Goodyears and Sunoco fuel. Dave?
Second place, Brad Keselowski said his car was a tiny bit tight to the center. They'll make a chassis adjustment and a 4-tire change. Leader Kevin Harvick, the leader of every lap today, said his car was absolutely plowing. He'll get adjustments, 4 tires, full of Sunoco fuel, and he will lead everyone off of pit road.
Easily so. Our Pennzoil race off pit road. Denny Hamlin's crew.
There they go again.
And how about Jimmy Johnson?
Ouch.
That one hurts. Denny Hamlin's crew has certainly been one of the best of this season, and they got it done again on the first round of pit stops today here at Dover. Jimmy Johnson's team had trouble, looks like, on both of the rear tire changes, and it cost him 6 positions and sets Jimmy back to 10th for this restart. of the pack sorted itself out. Big knot of traffic here.
Yeah, a lot of potential for bad things to happen back there.
Jamie McMurray in the 1 holds down 8th place. Jimmy Johnson behind him. Then this group from Brian Vickers, 55 on back here. Oh, Justin Allgaier got nipped. Nice save. Little fishtail down the front stretch.
You're fine. Danica out of control. I think she got touched down going into turn 1.
And another save. Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, 10th place. Danica Patrick was in 18th place on the restart. Then this happened.
Now she just gets loose right there. Low air pressures will do that to you. A lot of times the track gets cleaned off too. A lot of that rubber gets gone.
Yeah, nice save in heavy traffic though.
Yes, it was. She was really solid in that first run. Ran extremely well, but lost quite a few spots there.
43 Eric Almirola, right now the lowest running chase driver in the field in 29th place. Kyle Larson really slid back in the opening run of the race. Started in 7th. Larson now back in 16th place. And just ahead of Kurt Busch, who's in 17th. And for the moment, Kurt, the first driver out as you look at those points. Sorry, DJ.
No, I was going to just say that he's going to need to pick that up. He's going to have to run somewhere near the top 10 if he expects to make this cutoff and be in that top 12.
'42 and 41 racing. Update on Kurt Busch from Jamie.
And I talked to his crew chief, Daniel Canos, this morning, and he just shook his head. He said he has been a balled up, stressed out mess. He said this track is just so difficult for Stewart-Haas Racing. They've always struggled here, and he said they're tight. That is the problem. No matter what they try, they can't free this car up. Kurt's saying it has improved overnight, and all they did was make an air pressure adjustment on that right rear tire.
Caution's out here, caution's out, caution.
Caution for the second time in the race. I thought I heard something about turn 2, but I haven't confirmed what the caution was for yet, so I'll follow up on that in a minute. Oh, Stenhouse into the wall in turn 2. That's what it was.
Looks like it may be a big break for A.J. Allmendinger if I'm looking at this properly.
You are correct, yes. He'll be the free pass car. So Allmendinger will come back around and get back on the lead lap here. Just 75 laps into the race.
Yeah, huge break for them early on here. Make some adjustments to the car, get it running better. 17, the Stenhouse, he'd been running right up next to the wall the majority of the time.
Looks like none of the leaders are coming in. It'll be well back on the lead lap, the first cars that hit pit road.
It's the perfect day for a pressure-packed day at Dover International Speedway. Elimination day in the Sprint Cup Series. Chase race number 3 from inside the Quicken Loans pit studio. I'm Nicole with Brad and Rusty. Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
This is the biggest race of his career so far. A long way to go, but still holding.
Oh, really, really strong thus far. But just like Rusty said, he's had a lot of bad luck throughout the season, and he's got that right side skirt. It looks like it's bent on that race car. I hope that doesn't evolve into something worse for him.
I tell you what, Brad, I've been looking at your guy, A.J. Allmendinger. It was off the first start of the race, but he got the lucky dog. He's back in the game right now. Let's just hope he's got it right because he needs a good run.
Gotta go.
And restart so important in this one. Guess what, Alan? Another one coming up.
There is a look at that right side skirt that is hanging out of the 11 car of Denny Hamlin as he runs third. Kevin Harvick outside of Brad Keselowski for the race lead.
I bet Harvey's not complaining about restarts too much today. He was last week.
Makes a big difference when you're in control of it.
Yeah.
Whoa, look at this, 3 wide. Ryan Newman around the outside of Vickers and Logano. Newman, one of the drivers that pitted under this last caution, while some of those he's racing and passing did not. So we're seeing a little tire comparison here.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a big difference as they make their way up through. We'll watch this. Some got 2, as did Dale Jr., I believe, got 2. Newman got 4.
There's Carl Edwards, 22nd place. He and Dale Jr. racing for 22nd and 23rd. And at the moment, Edwards 1 spot outside of the cut line by that last pit stop shuffle.
Yeah, and this is when, as a driver, you get really frustrated and nervous about the situations you've been put in. Staying out there on those tires, these others came and got tired. You're getting passed by a lot of cars, knowing you can't give up many spots.
Top 10 finish was the goal of the day for this 99 team. They felt if they could do that today, it would transfer them on in the chase. Right now, they're well behind that, and they were one of the teams that just did make a pit stop under this caution, Vince.
Well, and one of the things that Carl Edwards has fought in the early stages of this race is a loose race car, particularly loose off. And there's one thing Carl has talked about throughout the course of this weekend is just needing more speed. Hard to do that when you're loose, so Jimmy Finnick tried to tighten him up.
So that's the story on the 99 car, and you see the scoring serial on Carl and where he stands in the race at the moment.
Now, let's see if he can make his way back forward. He got put in a difficult situation there. It looked like his car was really loose with those tires that they put on.
I think the 4 tires by far better than the guys that changed 2, even though they only had, what, 8 green flag laps on them.
Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth. 2 drivers in that bubble group, we'll call them, starting the day. Racing here, now exchanging the 8th position with Kane moving up.
Yeah, both these drivers pretty much thinking along the same lines today. Let's get a good, solid top 10 finish and get out of here, move on to the next round, improve our program, see if we can go win Kansas or Charlotte, move on to the next round. Can win Talladega too, but they'd like to do it before they get to the...
Casey told me just before the chase started at an appearance we were at together that he thought Kansas and Charlotte were 2 of his better tracks, so needed to get through this first round to have a shot. Update on on Kane from Jamie.
And I talked to Casey before the start of the race, and he said, you know, this just hasn't been a good place for us. 23rd, 13th, and 19th are his last 3 finishes. He said, however, this is the car I won with at Atlanta, and it has been good. We are very optimistic. We will make it into the next round of the chase. And so far today, he's been a tick tight through the middle, and that's it. Dave?
Matt's car was free in and off the corner on that first run. They just made an air pressure adjustment to correct for that. Hasn't said anything about it since, so looking pretty good. I asked Jason Ratcliffe how they were going to get from their early starting position back behind the leaders up front, and he said Matt will pass cars here. He's done it in the past, and I expect that. Plus, we'll pick up a few on pit road. So far, so good.
And yet, it's still so far from the checkered flag.
Oh, gosh. It's such a long day. I mean, it's been shortened by 100 miles from what we used to run here, but still 400 miles and how hard you have to work here. So many things can happen, you know. We still got a lot of cars on the lead lap. All it would take is a flat tire, loose wheel at the wrong time of this race. Find yourself on the outside looking in.
Hey, even some of that 3 wide on the restart.
Oh,
don't you think later in the race there'll be a little less give in the give and take balance there?
Yeah, no doubt about that.
So Kenseth running in 9th place right now. Here is the race for 4th. Denny Hamlin 11, Jimmy Johnson 48.
Jimmy Johnson trying to make up some of that ground they lost on that long pit stop. Lost 6 spots into that pit stop under caution. Now he's made up all the ground. He pitted from 4th. He's back up to 4th.
Yeah. Denny Hamlin, good idea. Let's see how this guy gets it done around here. I think he's been pretty successful.
Guys close that much ground on you that quickly. You let them go.
At this point in time.
Yeah. So Jimmy Johnson up to 4th. Denny Hamlin back to 5th. Nothing's changed in the top 3. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, and Jeff Gordon hold positions 1 through 3. 94 laps completed in this one. Kevin Harvick has led each and every one of them. He's done a lot of laps led in recent races. Fun pictures of cool race cars and the people who service them. Sparks flying. Some of the early action today here at the Monster Mile in Dover as we've hit the 1/4 mark of today's AAA 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Well, later on this week, ESPN has Major League Baseball postseason action with the National League Wild Card game. Just can't tell you for sure who's going to be in it because it depends on the outcome of today's 162nd game of the season and possibly a Monday 163rd extra game. But the Giants against either the Cardinals or Pirates Wednesday at 8 Eastern on ESPN and Watch ESPN. Could possibly have 3 extra baseball games tomorrow. Play-in games, if you will.
Pretty amazing
Crazy,
to play 162 games when it comes down to that. You could have to play extra.
Kevin Harvick, the race leader. I want you to look at this line here on the screen for the moment. And look to the right. Kurt Busch in 12th, +0 on 13th place. Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards. And just a reminder that ties at the end of the day today on points are broken by finishing results in this Challenger round of the Chase only. Doesn't go back to anything else you did earlier in the season. It's what you've done in these 3 races that settles the ties.
Yeah, you see now why the stress is so high. I mean, you're talking about one spot moves Carl Edwards from being in 14th spot, the way they're showing now, to end. Just move it up one spot.
Hasn't one car. Go get it done.
That's right.
Just sounds easy.
Yeah,
that's what he's going to tell the pit crew when he makes the next pit stop.
Yeah. Hey, get me one car.
Yeah, one spot.
Now Carl back in 21st. He and Dale Jr. kind of got bottled up. When we saw that little 3-wide racing just after the restart, they had fresh tires, but they got caught behind some of that, and it really broke their momentum and kept them from moving forward maybe as quickly as they would like.
Yeah, you see what happens. I get up to him and I just hit the wall. It's already here. Can't go anywhere. Yep, 10-4.
So that's why you can't just go get that one spot. Edwards trying to chase down Martin Truex Jr. for 20th place at the moment.
Watching the Edwards car right there, how it bounces into the corners. Both ends have a series of bumps that you go through. It makes it very difficult entering.
Yeah, and you bring that up. I was in the Nationwide Series garage on one of the haulers going into turn 3, and I was just watching the Cup practice. That 99 car was the one that was the harshest over those bumps the whole practice long. I wondered how that was going to affect him. It looks like it's not good.
Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch racing together again, 42 and 41, this time for 11th and 12th place. And Larson advancing by the champion of the first year that the Chase system was used, 2004, Kurt Busch.
And Larson's making the most of those 4 tires that he got under that caution flag when everybody stayed out with about 8 green flag laps on their tires.
And that changed the position for Kurt Busch by getting past right there where he was in a tie. Now he's a point behind. Happens that quickly.
I can't imagine if we get a late restart, what that's going to be like.
Oh my gosh.
I just can't.
We hope you can keep up with it.
That's what we're trying to tell you. This pressure makes these drivers, and I've been in that situation, just do crazy things that you wouldn't think about other times. If we get that late caution and bunched up, or even if it's not that, just a late race situation.
Kid you not, been thinking about it all week. Since the way the finish at New Hampshire came down, what these last laps might be like and sorting it all out for everybody. Greg Biffle, 16, giving up a spot to Marcos Ambrose. That's 13th place. Whoa, that low.
That could have been bad right there for both of them, especially that 16 car.
Got a little bit of damage on the grill of that car, or the grill decal, if you will. The actual grill opening down below the bumper.
Yeah, this could have taken Greg Biffle out of the race, though. I think he might have meant to give him a little tap. I don't think he meant to hit him quite that hard.
Yeah, that could have gotten bad. It makes me wonder, though, that you saw Ambrose slide up in front and then get a little bit loose, which had to get out of the throttle just a little bit, or did something take place before that? When I see these things happen, I always wonder if we could go back a couple of laps, was there something that Ambrose did that kind of ticked Biffle off at the time? And that was just a little note, but probably, as you said, Andy, probably hit him a little harder than he intended to.
Yeah, but no matter what, I mean, Biffle has to have a solid finish. He's got to finish this race. He came close to not finishing right there.
Yeah, the emotions run high all the time around here, especially when you're in this position he's in right now.
Marcos regroups for another go. And still looking like he's keeping an eye on that 16 in the mirror.
He's going to make sure that he got away from him that time, wasn't he?
Yeah. Jeff Gordon closing on Brad Keselowski for second place. Very fascinating day for teams like the 24.
You know, until the end of that race last week, they could have come here. What happened? They could have come here and been pretty safe with what they were doing.
Kind of been on a Harvick thing where Harvick, if he finishes 34th or better, no matter what anybody else does, he's on through. Gordon now has to be 14th or better, regardless of circumstance. And after what happened at the end of last week's New Hampshire race, you try and put it out of your mind, but humans being humans, that's on their mind until they get through the checkered flag today.
Yeah, if you happen to have a long green run, a full run on tires at the end of this race, you'd have to think, could something like that happen once again? Because putting a lot on the tires here.
So Gordon hanging in third behind Brad Keselowski, who runs second, and the only leader the race has had so far, Kevin Harvick. Dover International Speedway, today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race presented by Pennzoil has just gone under caution. Something reported on the back straightaway. Debris out there brings out the yellow flag. Just shy of when some of the front runners who didn't stop on that last yellow, like Kevin Harvick and so on, would have to have made stops under the green flag. Third caution of the race gives us a minute to tell you about the biggest mover in the day, brought to you by Sprint. Greg Biffle has picked up a dozen positions in this race so far. Very timely gains, too, for a guy fighting to advance in the chase. Stay connected to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with the Sprint Family Share Pack. 20 gigabytes of high-speed data to share, plus unlimited talk and text for $100 a month. Learn more at sprint.com/datashare. Pit road open, and it's going to be a busy place. Jamie?
And Denny Hamlin in the number 1 pit box there. He said that last change, air pressure 50% better. It's getting a little snappy. It's going to be a 4-tire stop. You see a chassis adjustment there. Let's go to Doc.
Jeff Gordon said the last adjustment was in the right direction. Still a little bit snug, middle a little bit snug off. They're going to go a little more direction with the chassis and air and 4 tires. Vince.
Jimmy Johnson started good, but then got loose. On a scale of 1 to 10, he said it was a 3 loose in and off. Slight chassis adjustment, 4 tires, and Sunoco fuel, Dave.
The first and second place runners on the right of your screen. Both cars are tight to the center of the corners. Both will get 4 tires, a chassis adjustment for that. Interesting, they're better on opposite ends of the racetrack. The 2 car in turns 3 and 4, and the 4 in turns 1 and 2. And neither one was first off pit road. Harvick was, though. Yes, he got it.
He did, and a little track position change there on a couple of accounts. Brad Keselowski losing a spot. Denny Hamlin again gaining. Kevin Harvick edging Jeff Gordon to the scoring stripe. Doubled up for the restart here in Dover. Tomorrow in Kansas City, Tom Brady and the 2-1 Patriots head out to Arrowhead to face Alex Smith and the Chiefs in Monday Night Football. See it at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN and also on Watch ESPN. No other night is Monday night.
Who you having that one?
Not much of a guess if you know I'm from New England, is it?
People talking about your quarterback might be at the end of his career and stuff here.
I'm not one of those people.
He's still pretty good.
Wow, Kyle Busch 3 wide around the outside.
That was a sweet move.
Jeff Gordon not able to use that inside lane first row on the restart to hang on to second. Kozlowski back around the outside of him.
Yeah, Jeff kind of spun his tires trying to get up to speed when Harvick took off. Wasn't able to hold that 2-car off, though.
Look at this mess coming off turn 2 here. They're getting 2, 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide, out fanning out in the corners on the first lap or 2 after these restarts today. And at some point, somebody's going to slip in there. And it's going to be big.
Yeah, it's just inches apart that they are, especially on the exit of these corners where it tightens up so much. Logano making a nice move to the high side.
Vickers 55 struggling in that corner. Truex 78 trying to get a run on him. Now A.J. Allmendinger, 23rd place lead lap. Free pass on that last caution was Danica Patrick. She had been lapped by the leader about 4 laps prior to the caution flag. Aric Almirola had been in free pass position until then. Now he's still got to fight from behind. There's Almirola just off the right side of the screen in the 43.
And the 47, Allmendinger, who had gotten the free pass previously, barely stayed on the lead lap that last time. He was within about 10 car lengths of getting lapped once again. So hopefully they've made some more adjustments for AJ.
Needs more positions on the track to get inside that top 12. Update from the 47 pit and Doc.
They have made many, many adjustments on the 47 car. Track bar, wedge, air pressure. They've done it all, but every time they've adjusted the car, it has gotten better and better. Now, it got a little tight toward the end of that last run. They came in and made another adjustment with right front air pressure down and the track bar going up 1 round to help him be a little freer and get the car to turn. But they have made improvements every time for Allmendinger in the pit.
There's all kinds of adjustments. Got big racing here too. Doc was talking about that air pressure adjustment on the right front of taking air out of there. Always a little nervous about taking air out of the right front at this place.
That's
Just
close.
look at those cars dancing around.
That's Dale Jr. you're looking ahead at. He was the guy sitting in the media center the other day saying by the time this chase was done, he felt like everybody involved would have holes in their stomach. And here he is right back in the soup, 23rd position.
I think I read a tweet where Dale Jr. broke a steering wheel in practice. And I see now why. He's working that baby.
With the 1 car, Jamie McMurray there, I thought this was a car, and talking to him and other people, that was going to be up well inside the top 10, if not the top 5 most of this day.
Started in 5th position. Now McMurray running back in 24th. I mentioned Aric Almirola. Right now the 2nd car 1 lap down. Casey Mears in 27th place is the 1st car lap down. That's the 13 just in front of Almirola, who Doc needs to find a way around him and hope for a timely caution.
They have made many adjustments on this car. Whoa, Almirola trying to get around nearly in the back of the 13 car. The car was so free he couldn't drive it. He came in and they put, quote, a bunch of rounds of wedge in it. Then the car was too tight on the previous stop. They came in and made an adjustment and took a packer out of the left front to make the car handle better. Almirola now has a better race car that is stuck in pretty heavy traffic.
Observation from here, the way he drove that car off into the corner under Casey Mears, think he knows that that's the car he needs to pass for the free pass?
Yeah, no doubt about that. And many more laps like that 13 made a while ago, and Aric will have both things at one time. The caution that he's looking for and the pass.
So struggle here at Dover for the 43, who really had a lot of optimism as this being one of their better tracks they felt when they came in this weekend. Kurt Busch 41, Casey Kane 5, 11th and 12th places. You see Kane there in 10th position as they run in points. But Kurt Busch, for the moment, just 1 single point outside of the top 12.
This is much better than the way they started off this day in running. They were barely not able to crack the top 15 as this race started, so they got themselves in a much better position. In fact, they've made some pretty good, changes to this car and making it where it's a lot more competitive, where he can go past cars.
Update on the 41 and the 5, both from Jamie.
And Kurt Busch has been very calm on the radio, very good feedback. Just a little bit tight in the center has been his concern. They've been tight all weekend, but in comparison to practice, the car is good, and they've only made air pressure adjustments. On that last stop, they added a little tape in the front to try to help that turn of the car. Meanwhile, Casey Kane behind him. Car has been okay today. They've thrown some adjustments out of the track bar and wedge on the last stop, but he's not thrilled.
Four guys, we got to clean these pit stops up. I'm tired of seeing cars in front of us that were behind us on the racetrack.
And that would be Kenny Francis, his crew chief on the radio, telling the pit crew to clean it up. Let's save some positions here and stop letting other cars pass us on the restarts.
Oh, pressure, pressure, pressure.
That's right, Kenny Francis is feeling it. And I can see his frustration. I mean, I've sat on that box in that very situation. And when you're losing spots after you race so hard to get them, it is. I mean, it'll get to you.
So Casey Kane running in 12th place. There is the lead. Kevin Harvick 4, Brad Keselowski 2. Harvick's led every lap in the race so far. Dave, progress report on their race?
It's in the wrong direction, AB. Since they started this run, he said it's bouncing like crazy. And then a couple laps in, I think something might be broken in the left front. And then most recently, it's banging on the ground. So right now, the 4 car not where he wants to be, and perhaps with an issue. Remember, he came into the race 41 points to the good of the cutoff line. Not completely secure, but fairly safe. But a bad day could really be a problem for Kevin.
And here's Keselowski as Harvick gets into traffic now, closing right up on him for the lead and taking a run at it off of 4.
Yeah, this 4 car is not nearly as good as it was earlier. He may have a little problem.
I think as long as he doesn't encounter another car that he's okay, he can run some pretty decent times, but he has having a hard time really keeping that car down and accelerating up out of the corner.
So having led every single lap in the race so far, Harvick now finds himself second as Brad Keselowski comes to the start-finish line to officially take over the lead in this one. Only 1 car out of the race, still 42 running. That adds to the pressure also. Brad Keselowski, the race leader of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race from Dover International Speedway. Our telecast today presented by Pennzoil. Brad, just the second leader of the event, passing Kevin Harvick 8 laps ago after Harvick led the first 147 laps of this one. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. A little bit of cloud cover beginning to filter over the speedway on a 78-degree afternoon. Simply spectacular weather for race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. So the eye right now on Kevin Harvick, who dominated the early going in this race, but now finds himself running second after reporting a possible problem in the suspension of this 4 car.
We got a big problem. 10-4, you're doing a good job with it here. I need any encouragement. Just let me talk to him. It's, no, I mean, I think the left front shock has given up or bump stop or something.
Yeah, I think he does have a little bit of an issue. He seems to be able to figure it out. But like you said, Dale, when he's not around traffic, he can run fast lap times.
The team huddle there to figure out a plan.
This is a very rough racetrack, but that, as you can see, even judging by the other cars there, that front of that car is moving around, bouncing up and down a lot more. Yeah, there's just no way. There's got to be something going on there.
And yet,
he's still flying. He's still running good.
He's staying right with Keselowski, the leader, and Gordon hasn't caught him.
But you can visibly see the car moving more.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And again, what I said before, there's only 1 car out of the race. 42 are on the track and running at this point. So if you have a problem, even if you have to spend 5 laps fixing it, it's a big deal. Casey Kane in kind of early, Jamie.
And he only has a 2-point buffer over that 12th spot right now. He said his car felt very off that run. He thinks it was the new set of tires. They felt off balance. He said, I'm coming to you guys. The team was ready. 4 new tires on there, and they also went up on that track bar.
Casey had only stopped at lap 126 with everybody else. So we'll see where that cycles him back around, and if the race stays green long enough for everybody else to have to make a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, it's putting him in a little bit of a bad spot until something happens, either to go all the way through the cycle or catch a caution at the right time, but it could actually happen at the wrong time for him pretty easy.
There's Casey coming up to speed off the pit lane, while Jimmy Johnson again tries to find a way around Denny Hamlin. I think Jimmy's tired of seeing that 11's bumper in his windshield.
Probably so. Just in front of Denny, though, Matt Kenseth has run extremely well here. He's driven up into the top 5, running in the 4th spot. Here, Denny pulls over once again. Let Jimmy move on by for the time being.
Got the 2nd or 3rd time that Jimmy's run up on Denny and gotten the go ahead. I'm not going to fight you hard now.
They've seen a lot of each other today.
Yeah. So Jimmy up to 5th, Denny back to 6th. And Denny currently 10 points above the cut line in 9th position in the standings. So there's Casey Kane right behind Denny. Casey cycles out 2 laps down in 29th place and needs this thing to stay green for a while. There are 3 cars 1 lap down, then Casey is the first car 2 laps down. So if the caution comes out, they'd have to stay out, try and take a wave around to get 1 of the laps back and see how it goes from there. Now Greg Biffle, there's the scoring serial on the Biff. Running in 16th place in the 16. At the moment, Biffle is just a few positions outside the cut line where the chase is concerned. Vince?
They haven't talked to him about that on the radio today. It's been more about trying to get the car to handle appropriately. Tight, then loose. The last report from Biffle, just trying to get the front end to turn. And that's been the head scratcher for Matt Pusha, the crew chief this weekend. They've not been happy with the car, haven't been able to get the front end to work the way they want. They've made a lot of changes to get it ready for today. They started 27th, up 11 spots, hanging right around that chase transfer spot. Doc?
The
right behind him, there's the 31 car of Ryan Newman, who started 20th. And a challenge up front again as Harvick makes a move, or tries to make a move on Brad Kay. Alex?
In traffic. But whatever it is that might be ailing this 4 car isn't ailing it in a significant way.
He's certainly figured out how to deal with it and got this car going forward again.
That's where he really struggles, is when he has to get right to the bottom there and he can't use up all of the racetrack. He was able to right there and keep some momentum, but that is the most difficult part. Looks like the exit of the corner, carrying the speed. He needs all of the track to do that.
Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle racing for 16th place. All right, Doc, as you were saying.
As I was saying, yesterday at happy hour, the 31 car was awful, so they decided to make a wholesale change and go back to the setup they ran here in May. When Ryan drove to the back of the pack into 9th spot, ended up finishing 10th. Ryan began the day with the car really free off. He made one round of wedge adjustment, and they've added some air pressure changes, and now Ryan said the car is really, really running well, other than a little bit tight in the middle. Alan?
Caution is on the speedway.
Yeah, I think I might have saw Casey Mears get into the wall up in turns 1 and 2. Actually, I believe it might have been the 32 car.
J.J. Yaley in the 32. Casey Mears is the free pass at this caution flag. And so yellow out, and that really, there is Yaley in the 32. That really puts a hurting on Casey Kane and this 5 team. Having made the green flag pit stop before, they're trapped 2 laps down in 29th. So they're going to have to stay out here and try and take a wave around to get one of them, right?
Yeah, no other choice but to do that, because they won't get it any of these laps back without taking a wave around at some point. This is as good a time as any.
Yeah, he was coming on a rapid rate towards the leaders to get one of those back, but came up a little short on that.
Pit road open for the lead lap cars. And Jamie goes first.
Denny Hamlin's pit crew's already gained him 5 spots and 2 stops already today, saying the car is pretty good. It's just tightening up with the cloud cover. They'll fill him up with Sunoco fuel and 4 tires. Let's go to Doc.
Quoting Jeff Gordon, boy, that car was a handful there. Left rear tire was gone, couldn't get the drive off, and nothing to lean on. Gonna make an adjustment with the track bar and 4 tires. Vince.
Jimmy Johnson says the car was too tight on that run. Didn't like the change from the previous stop, so they're going to put it back in. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. Dave?
Brad Keselowski said he needed a little help on the short run. Chassis adjustment, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. Kevin Harvick, even with all the left front shock issues, still has a tight race car. They gave him a chassis adjustment for that and 4 tires.
Little traffic jam there.
Harvick's crew gets him the lead.
Qualifying on the pole will help do that for you on a lot of pit stops. Should be an interesting restart when we come back. Doubled up for the restart here at Dover. Our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series telecast presented by Pennzoil. Kevin Harvick's pit crew got him back in front of Brad Keselowski with the lead. Kevin and company talking just before the stop about that pesky left front situation.
I think the left front shock is completely broke. It's hard to tell. We've been watching a bunch of video and everything. Times are still plenty good. He drove away from the 24. I say we go through one more stop here. Let us look at the helmet camera and everything else one more time, get a better idea, and just keep racing it. And try to hang in there for a little bit.
That's exactly what they're doing. Jimmy Johnson with a peek to the inside of Brad Keselowski for second place. And Matt Kenseth up to fourth, Kyle Busch fifth after the pit stop shuffle. First couple laps after a restart here in Dover, always particularly edgy.
You're just waiting and watching for something to happen. Somebody just to slip or have to come out of the throttle, and then the accordion effect creates something big. But we've done a great job so far.
Almirola right now the first car one lap down in 27th place. Does he get the caution he needs before the leader overtakes anyone or anyone overtakes him? Now on the cycle of pit stops, coming through. Casey Kane did stay on the racetrack, took the wave around, so Kane right now is one lap down, but he's the third car one lap down. He's got Cole Witt between himself and Almirola, and he's in 29th place on 12 lap older tires than these other guys he's trying to catch and pass. Also, Jeff Gordon, we showed you, lost a couple of points of track position. They had a left rear lug fall off on the change, had to stop, pick it up, put it on, and that's why Gordon is back in 7th place, about as low as he's been all race.
And you were talking about the pressures that the teams and these pit crews were feeling today too, knowing just how much it means.
Yeah, but this team has a little bit of cushion, so the pressure's not quite as high on Jeff Gordon as it is. When you look back at these other guys that are just knotted up at that cutoff, that's the ones we'll be watching late in the race.
Gordon running just behind Denny Hamlin at the moment. Hamlin sits, as you see, third line on your screen, 10th position in points, 10 positions on the racetrack to the good. But with everything we've seen happen in the last laps of the first two races in the chase, that's far from a comfortable spot to this point in the day. Denny and company doing everything they need to do, running solidly in the top 5 or 6 all race long.
Yeah, he and Matt Kenseth up in front of him, and Kyle Busch, all three of those Joe Gibbs racing cars are all right there together. You know what a stressful day this had to be for Joe Gibbs coming in here with really none of his drivers. Kyle Busch being the most safe one, but with anything being able to happen to all these lead lap cars today, stressful day for the car owner too.
There's Allmendinger running in 23rd place. Word with us earlier, got a lap down in the opening run of the race, got a free pass to get back on the lead lap at a caution at lap 74. Right now you see just 1 point, 1 position on the racetrack out of the top 12. Marcos Ambrose, the car just in front of him, would be a race 4 position, that yellow 9 car.
And that thrilling finish between these two cars at Watkins Glen is how Allmendinger got into this position.
Yeah, it looks like his car's a little bit better right now. I've seen him a couple of different times run up on the back of this car and just can't make that pass because his car's really good right there on the bottom. So he's going to have to try to figure out a way around.
Update on the Dinger from the dock.
Just prior to that last pit stop, AJ got pretty hot under the collar. He said, guys, I don't know what you're doing, but it's doing nothing to the race car. Absolutely nothing. It will not turn. To the last pit stop, wedge, track bar, air pressure, 4 tires, and guess what? It's turning a little better now. They changed everything but the number.
So Allmendinger running in 23rd place, and again teetering right on the edge. Can he move up, or will Kurt Busch slide back toward him in the running order? Kurt right now last man in by 1 point, and Kurt's running in 13th place in the race.
And I think AJ and this team probably figured to be safe and have a really good shot, they needed to run inside the top 15 here today without circumstances changing things for them. Some of these other drivers having real problems, but that's what it looks like it's going to take. Right now, it would just take being inside the top 20 and they would be okay.
Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, 6th and 7th place.
Gordon's been the one car we've seen today that's been able to pass. He did it on the first run, worked his way up into that 3rd spot before we had our first caution. So a good, solid car. Even as he got back in traffic here, he's been patient and knows the car's that good, able to work his way forward. I will have to say, though, I'm quite impressed. I drove a car a few times that shock was broken, and I'm going to go to the front of the pack here with Kevin Harvick. Never had one that would continue to drive that good with a broken shock. So I think they may be exaggerating on that part. Could be something with the Packers there, something that they're doing. But the car is awfully good to be still out front.
Dale Jr. passing Greg Biffle. That was 16th place that just changed hands. And again, Biffle outside the cut line by a couple of places.
Watch Greg drive today. Wow, he's really driving this car hard. Everything that he can get out of it, but just not driving very well, kind of like the first 2 races of the chase.
And see if that right rear fender is crinkled a little, or if it's just the visibility of the camera angles and the paint job that makes it look like it's bowed in just a little bit. Vince, Biff struggling on, got a long way to go.
Boy, he's certainly had his hands full throughout the course of the day today. A varying race car that swung from tight to loose. They couldn't get any front grip in it. The previous run, he felt like the grip was better, but the front end still needed some help. Right now, the back end has gotten loose. So Greg Biffle continues to fight it just outside the chase line. Jamie?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, they've had a tough go of it today. On lap 76, they opted to come in and take right sides only, just to see how it would respond. Junior not happy. Car has not been turning today, so on the last stop, they took a big swing at it. They made a big wet adjustment, air pressure in 4 tires, went back to how they started the race. Junior saying it's coming around, but still not where they want to be.
All right, Jamie, so Junior running in 16th position at the moment, 7th in points, and well clear for the time being of the cut line in today's elimination race. Points continuing to shuffle. Kurt Busch and AJ Allmendinger moving around in traffic a little bit, and so those points are continuing to change hands. Right now, Kurt just 1 spot to the good, and Allmendinger 1 outside the cut line. At the end of the Challenger round in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. We're at halfway in today's race. Time to go NASCAR nonstop. The race for 4th place, Matt Kenseth 20, Jeff Gordon 24, as we cross the midway point of today's AAA 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here at Dover International Speedway. Danger Zone is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, and what the day is all about. Who gets dropped from the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup? Right side where they run in the race at the moment, and that center column, the big picture. So Kurt Busch on the bubble right now, and Allmendinger first out in the chase picture as we've crossed midway in today's event. Jeff Gordon continuing to dog Matt Kenseth. Might have a run at him here. And I look at these three. These are classic examples. Kenseth, Gordon, Kyle Busch. They should make it through, but they've got to get to the finish with a good result. Can't have a day like Kenseth and Gordon had last Sunday at New Hampshire in the last laps.
No, you have to stay away from that completely, and I think that's the way that we see some of them racing, especially Kenseth, trying to give a lot of room there. Good, solid effort. But we'll see if he's able to continue on. Still a lot of racing to go here, Dave.
And DJ, even though he loses that spot to 5th now, just a little bit of a loose race car, it's been steady progress throughout the day. Started 14th, and it seems like every time he restarted, it was a couple more spots forward, a couple spots forward, little adjustments. And the last time, he called the car the best it's been. So they're doing the right things, steadily going forward and holding a good position so far.
Matt 18 points to the good and running in 5th position in the race. Kyle Busch right behind him, a little slide there, but having a solid race. Kyle gave up some track position earlier on a pit stop, but there you see the scoring on Kyle for the day. Edwards and Biffle changing 17th place. And so that drops Biffle 5 points behind the cut line. Kevin Harvick catching Casey Kane.
And that loose wheel is coming back to haunt this 5 team. They got that lap back by the wave around, but they got more laps on their tires, had to start behind all the cars on that restart. Now he's looking at the leader in his rearview mirror again.
To put him a 2nd lap down, and Casey nowhere near catching Eric Almirola to be the first car 1 lap down. Just the 2 of them 1 lap down now, Kane and Almirola. Got to be so impressed with Harvick and this team today. Even with the mechanical drama that they're sorting through on that 4 car, he's led all but 25 laps of this race.
Yeah, if they have a broken shock on the left front like Harvick thinks they do, that must not be part of the magic setup because his car is still plenty fast.
Yeah, and how many times have we seen this and talked about it, even since we've taken over the Sprint Cup coverage of Harvick being fast, leading a lot of laps. Can they finally get this thing back to victory lane? I think that's something that they need to do here. And it would be great for them to do this here today, even though they're pretty much going to make their way into the next round. But I think that for their confidence that they can then go on to Kansas or on to Charlotte and make that happen again would be much greater for this team.
Casey Kane goes a 2nd lap down. You know, Kevin said earlier this weekend, he said, I've been doing this too long to get too caught up in this. I know how hard it is to win. He said, I'll keep taking top 5s and top 3s, and that'll keep advancing us on. And if we keep doing that, then the wins will come our way. He said, yeah, we've had some races we should have won that we lost, but I also know if you keep running top 5, top 3, you're going to win some races that you shouldn't.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. I've seen that myself in my career. Yeah, there's a lot of times it doesn't go your way when you have the fastest car, and then there's days that you win one you shouldn't. I mean, it's going to work out.
But how about the other side of that with the competition and things that we have seen happen to this 4-car at times back earlier in the year. Seems they have those mechanical woes out of the way, but just getting caught up into something or having a loose wheel at the wrong time, then you're going to need a victory to make that happen. So you have to be careful. You've got to keep going, working hard, staying steady, Dave.
I can't remember if you mentioned it or not because there were so many times this year when they've had issues, but here in the spring, remember a lug nut popped off and went inside the wheel and actually knocked the valve stem off, and that's what caused them a bad day there. But Rodney Childers, the crew chief there on the left, told me, I've always been good here. Even back in the days when Scott Riggs drove my car or David Rudiman, we were always good here. I always seemed to find the setup. And he said, ironically, the guy we were always racing here was Kevin Harvick, somewhere back in 7th and 8th. Well, they've got it turned around to where Rodney's best and Kevin's best is very good today at Dover.
Kevin was leading when he had that flat tire under green. Back in the June 1st race here, he was only able to get back to 17th by the checkered flag, and that flat tire happened before halfway in the race. So still a lot to be negotiated for Harvick and all these other drivers today here at the Monster Mile. 183 laps to go, and there are your top 5. Just watch Jeff Gordon take 3rd position away from Jimmy Johnson as we come back live to the Monster Mile. And race number 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the first elimination race from the chase, the Challenger round, comes to a conclusion today. The bottom 4 drivers in the standings will be dropped from the championship at the end of this one. Right now, those 4 drivers are Allmendinger, Biffle, Kane, and Almirola as they run on the track, but still got a lot of racing to go. Let's get you up to speed on some of these drivers involved in this fight for the cut line. Up to speed from Nationwide Insurance. We start with Jamie.
Well, you just can't repeat that quote enough. What Denny Hamlin said, this is going to be the most important race of my career. It is. He wants to make it on to the next round. His crew chief, Darian Grubb, told me they have to be in the top 5. He thinks to be okay. Now, right now, the car is decent, but he's getting a little bit loose as he was early on. Now a few spots behind him, Kurt Busch. They told me if they can just make it through today and make it into that contender round, their chances at the next 3 races are much better. They feel great about Kansas. It's one of their best tracks. Right now, Kurt's saying the car is just a little bit tight in the middle, little loose off. Doc?
And back behind him now, moving all the way up to 13th spot, is the 31 car of Ryan Newman. Boy, what a great job Luke Lambert has done adjusting this car. Newman said, we got a race car, boys. We're moving forward right now. We're stuck in a little bit of traffic trying to get by the 14 of Tony Stewart. But this car continues to move forward, headed in the right direction. A little bit tight in the middle, though. Vince.
The 99 of Carl Edwards started 18th. He hasn't been able to make up much ground today. Been running around that general area, up a couple of spots right now in 16th. They fought loose the entire first half of the race. Jimmy Fennick made multiple adjustments, now just a little snug across the center. As for the 16 of Greg Biffle, Biffle's on the bottom side of that cut line for the chase. Biffle currently in 18th, and they just have not been able to get a handle on this car today. Way too loose, he says, no grip. We're not even close to having the grip we need right now. Doc?
And back behind him, I think A.J. Allmendinger, his frustration meter is pegged. He just said a moment ago, guys, the tires are gone. It's the worst thing I have driven in my life, end quote. Brian Burns said, hey, we're gonna make an adjustment. We'll take a pound out of the right rear. We'll take wedge out of the right rear. We're gonna get you there, buddy. We're gonna make it better. And the 43 car of Eric Almirola, they had to repair a right front fender to change tires last time. Still being shown 1 lap down. Car has gotten better, but he needs a break, a lucky dog break, to get that lap back. Alan?
And unfortunately for Almirola, Doc, the leader, Kevin Harvick, has caught the end of the field and put more cars a lap down. So now Almirola finds himself the 5th car a lap down and about to be 2 laps down as Harvick is right up behind him. Clint Boyer trying to get a spot from Denny Hamlin. This would be 8th place. Hamlin sliding back a bit in this run of the race.
Yeah, definitely not what this team wants or needs to try to stay inside that top 12. They've got a few spots that are a cushion.
Yeah, only 6 though. I mean, that's, you got to think he's a little nervous sliding backward.
1 point per position. Every spot counts. 38 car David Gilliland passing Hamlin there, not for position. He's 6 laps down. Had taken a wave around, gotten off sequence with the leaders earlier, and just pitted under green a little while ago.
Yeah, the thing I'm watching with this 11 car is how he can't really turn the car in the center of the corner. Makes me wonder if he's worn the right front tire more than what he would like to have, which could create an issue if they're not careful.
That's something you could feel from behind the wheel?
Yeah, you definitely can.
So maybe Hamlin playing it a little cautiously. Not that far from another round of pit stops. The leaders were in at lap 172. Around 70 to 75 laps means we'll see him in another 10 to 15 laps on the pit lane. NASCAR nonstop today from Dover. Harvick's the leader.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover, presented by Pennzoil, is brought to you by the 56-volt Ego Power Plus Blower. Ego, power beyond belief.
Rehoboth Beach, I believe, just down the street from Dover International Speedway, seaside resort community, popular for so many in this area. And now as we come back live, Casey Kane's difficult day continues. The green flag pit stop out of sync with everyone else earlier with the loose left rear wheel. Put him 2 laps down. Now he stops again under green and needs for the cycle to go through without the caution flag coming out again, or he's going to be hopelessly trapped 4 to 5 laps down. Tough day for Kane, who earlier in the race was running up inside a position to transfer into the next round of the chase.
Yeah, this particular run, though, he only is about 12 laps out of sequence. So he was more than like 25 or 30 than the last time he did that.
A look at our U.S. Army look of a leader. No one else looks like a leader today but Kevin Harvick. Look at that. The only 2 drivers that have led today.
We've been doing a lot of the leading recently.
Kevin Harvick, you mentioned, has done a lot of leading lately at the Chicagoland race. He led 79 laps in that one. The most. That Brad Keselowski 3-wide move between Harvick and Kyle Larson, and Harvick wound up finishing in 5th in that one. Last weekend at New Hampshire, Harvick wound up leading 104 of the 303 laps, but lost out to Joey Logano in the late laps of that one. The last 5 races, Kevin Harvick has been the driver that led the most laps in. He has not taken home the trophy as the winner. Hoping to change that trend in these last 154 laps.
Wants to change that last column. He might get it done today. He's had a pretty solid day so far. I always complained about it, but the car has really been solid.
There's just so much racing to go around here. So many things that can happen.
Passing Austin Dillon to put the 3 car a lap down. That's the 21st place runner. Just joining us and not with us earlier. 4 caution flags in the race so far, a couple of them for debris, a couple of them for cars getting into the outside wall and dropping things on the racetrack. Aric Almirola has been one of the stories of the day, struggling through this one all race long. Now he's on the pit lane.
Car being a little bit tight in the middle, would not turn. Last time they had to repair the right front fender to get the right front tire on. This time, get it completely full of Sunoco fuel, 4 tires, clean the grill, and he is away. Still being shown a lap down, though. Got to make it up somehow these last 150 laps. Jeff Gordon saying, hey guys, I am a little tight on the 3/4 mark between laps, turns 1 and 2. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, talking about a chassis adjustment, getting it full of fuel. Dave, 2 cars.
Brad Keselowski still calls his car off in turns 1 and 2. Mainly it's losing the nose in the center. He'll get a track bar adjustment for that. And also 4 tires and full of Sunoco fuel. Kevin Harvick is on pit road as well. The race leader brings the 4 car down to the end. And you can see him right there pulling into the bottom right of your screen. It's a little more of track bar for Kevin Harvick as well. He had some trash on the grill to start the run. They got rid of that. At the end of the run, the car became tight to the center of the corner. That's what they're adjusting for. And he still hasn't said anything about that left front, but he's still battling a car that's not exactly right. As for Joey Logano, positions made each run. Gained 3 more on this run for him. Loose on exit was his complaint. Chassis adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Logano in the 22.
The 99 of Carl Edwards coming to pit lane. Edwards has been fighting a loose race car throughout the most of the day today. Going to make another chassis adjustment, 4 tire change for Carl. Currently, he is one of those who's above the cut line for the chase. So he's had a solid day, not spectacular, but hasn't been able to pass the way he'd like to do it. Doc?
Well, Boyer said, I've got a real good race car here, guys. We just got a little bit snug in the middle. They put some tape on, he got a little bit free off. They make a chassis adjustment in the right rear. Having to get the left side jacked up, and now he is out of the way. Probably 1 more stop for Boyer is all he'll need for fuel.
And Jamie McMurray will complete the frantic flurry of pit stops. And Kevin Harvick is off the pace in turn 3.
Hold your line here.
Left front tire down on the 4 car.
I can't get you down.
Look at the splitter vibrating around. Big moment of the race. Trouble for Kevin Harvick at lap 252.
This might bring out a caution, too.
Can't get you down. Hold your line.
He's just wearing that splitter completely out.
Fine. You got 3 more coming. Start working down just a little bit. Come on down, come on down, come on down. Yellow's out.
And
Yellow's
a caution
out.
for debris from the 4 car.
Harvick decided to stay out on the track there.
Good call.
Yeah, they may have some problems, though. That was just grinding away at that front splitter.
I got to pit this time. Got to pit this time.
I'll tell you why I thought it was a good call in a minute. First, let's go back and see what happened to Kevin Harvick looking ahead from Brad Keselowski.
That's hard down. I saw him come off turn 2 and had to get out of the gas. I didn't know if it was a problem or whether he just got a little tight. But then all of a sudden, you see all this.
So whatever the problem was on the left front obviously fully manifested itself after the pit stop.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's hard to say why that tire went down. I mean, I'm not sure that the problem they had would have caused a tire failure. That happened really quick, too, right after the pit stop.
But here was my thought. He'd been out there grinding away on that left front already for so long. Saved a couple of laps he might have lost while the field got gathered up by the pace car and slowed down because you've already torn it up anyway.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Try to address this issue and see what they can fix. How much more damage has this done? Dave?
And DJ, they've been trying to look underneath on their pit stops. Ira Joe Hussey with the camera on his helmet for the team, but it goes by so quickly they're very rarely able to see anything that'll help them out in terms of what's going on inside there. But obviously something, as Alan said, finally gave loose there. Remember, Kevin described it. He thought it was maybe a shock absorber broken or maybe a bump stop that had gone bad. But they're just going to change it at this point and get it back out on the track, maybe.
Send him out before the pace car comes by. Try and keep him on the lead lap. Bring him back around again. Kevin is still on the lead lap for the moment. We'll see how this plays out. So Kevin Harvick, who's dominated today's race here at the Monster Mile in Dover, runs into trouble inside the final 150 miles of this one. Eerily similar to the problems that befell him in the June 1st race here, when Harvick, leading at the time at lap 166, slows with troubles on his right front. At the time, he had to pit under the green flag. He could only come back to 17th. The difference between leading the race and where he finished, 20 points that day. Now today here in Dover, at lap 253, Harvick having troubles, this time not on the right front, but on the left front, Dave.
And inside the tire, you can see, hopefully you can see down there, there's a hole where there used to be a valve stem. Remember, too, an inner liner here for safety. Yeah, you got to get air to that. There's an outer one, the little yellow knob there is the outer as well, but knocked off just like it did in the spring, and you hear the team talking about it.
I mean, something had to cut that tire, don't you think? The left front inner valve stem is knocked out of it. Hey, that's 2 times here. Yeah, I don't get it.
Now, they repaired the left front of the splitter, sent Kevin back out there. They asked him how it felt. He said it's hard to tell. They thought it looked good from up above, but we'll see how Kevin fares the latter part of this race.
I talked to Rodney Childress this morning about that problem they had and that valve stem that they broke. And they said it was a lug nut that got caught up inside after a pit stop that knocked it out. It gets kind of caught between the caliper and the valve stem, and that's what happened to them in the earlier race this year. It really is weird that they had that same thing happen twice, because it's not something we see very often.
And just after a pit stop here.
Yep. Oh, that's probably what happened. I mean, one of these lug nuts just got up behind the wheel, up in that inner part, and then it rotates around. It stays there for a revolution, and then it hits the caliper.
Watching the left front tire change.
I'll tell you what I saw right there. It looked to me like he may have actually missed the lug nut on that last one. It may have, the air reach may have gone through the hole and hit that. That's what it kind of looked like from that angle.
So Kevin, now with his 4th pit stop, I believe under this yellow flag, and still staying on the lead lap as he comes back out onto the racetrack.
Yeah, let's look at that again. It looked like, you see as they're hitting the lug nuts, the jack's coming down, and you see the air wrench actually missing the lug nuts on that transition. And the end of that socket could have hit that valve stem, and I would almost bet that's what happened.
And we talked about earlier the track, the competition, and fate. A little bad luck there on the part of Kevin Harvick and his team.
Yeah, I think they still, this day now, with the 4, they have to just say, okay, let's make a solid day of this and make sure that we don't.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. I think they had just enough cushion to get in with even a disastrous finish. They're going to be able to continue on.
Sorry, Andy. Harvick back in 21st place. Brad Keselowski now the leader in the 2 with Jeff Gordon to his inside. By the way, the caution, a huge break for Casey Kane, who got back to 1 lap down through the cycle of the green flag pit stops. Kyle Busch looking for 2nd place. And Kyle Larson now up into the top 5 also. That 42 car slid way backwards in the early part of the race, but they've made some nice adjustments on it because Larson has steadily driven his way back toward the front.
Yeah, he was terrible in that first run. And then the crew came in, made a good pit stop, and made some good changes. And now, I mean, his pit crews really kept him in this too. They made some really good stops today.
And filing away that if we get the late restart, Jeff Gordon in that inside lane, 1st or 2nd row, has not fared very well today.
That's just been so difficult to get your car up to speed. We talk about it week in and week out here where the track is banked a lot. 9 degrees of banking really makes it difficult, especially when you're not the control car.
So Brad Keselowski takes over the lead. Earlier in the race, when Harvick felt like he had a suspension problem, Keselowski got out front, led for 25 laps. Now with Harvick way back in traffic, Keselowski opens up a quick gap on now second place runner Kyle Busch.
Everybody still has to be nervous about their spot out here. There are only 2 cars that are out of this race right now. So any problems you may have could be disaster for you.
Josh Wise and Timmy Hill, the 2 cars that are retired from the race.
You can see Denny Hamlin, he's only 10 points to the good, and running 7, having a pretty good day.
Kurt Busch, 41. And Martin Truex Jr., 78. Truex has finished well the last couple of weeks for having to come back in both of these last 2 races from 2 laps down. No such difficulties today, though we haven't seen him up there in the top 10 yet in this race. He's a little bit closer to it now.
Kurt Busch there right now is inside. He's that 12th driver, needing to hold off as many as he can here. Doesn't want to lose any more spots.
His relative position to A.J. Allmendinger, the important one now. Kurt's on the lead lap in 12th. Allmendinger's a lap down in 23rd. And A.J. can only move up 1 more spot if he passes Jamie McMurray in the 1 of cars a lap down. But he's got to catch McMurray to get in position to get a free pass. Now I know that you know, AJ talked about here this weekend that, look, they were the Cinderellas. They weren't supposed to go very far in this and so on. But you know, as difficult a day as they've had today, they're not going to be happy if they miss it by just a few points.
No, they're not going to be. You know, with the opportunity right there staring them in the face, that with a good solid effort here, and they've had those a number of times, that they could have found their way moving on to the next round. Just a race car that's been a handful. The times we've shown the in-car camera of AJ, he is working harder than you should have to work inside there. See if we've made this thing any better for AJ. He looked like we've seen him pass some cars, but he's really having to work the throttle and got that many laps on the tires. That's only going to get worse as you go on.
This is a tough racetrack to drive a good car. I can't imagine what it's like for AJ today.
31 Ryan Newman, 15 Clint Boyer. Newman in 9th place in the race. And you see in 9th place in the chase standings. In position to advance for the moment, not comfortably in 9th.
Yeah, I talked to Luke Lambert this morning about this 31 car in particular, and he said it's a solid day. If they can run the top 10, that kind of controls their own destiny. And they didn't have a car at all to even run in the top 10, he said, but they made a ton of changes last night, went back to some things that they used the last race. They said that they had some new things they thought would be better. It didn't work out in practice, so they went back to some other stuff, and it looks like it's working. Yeah, certainly working here today. And think back to Chicago, where they had a flat tire that knocked the inner panels out. They got down at least a lap, and then were able to come back and make a decent day out of that. So that could have been the one that propelled them right on here, having a solid day that could get them through.
So Newman in 9th, behind second place runner Jeff Gordon. Now that he passes Kyle Busch for that spot. Both of them trailing race leader Brad Keselowski. Kevin Harvick now running 20th. A mid-race twist of plot here at the Monster Mile in Dover.
Welcome back to Dover International Speedway, the Monster Mile. Truly has been a monster weekend as we are in the middle of the elimination race number 1 in the chase. Let's catch you up on what has happened so far with the 5-Hour Energy rapid recap. Mistakes have punctuated and been the storyline of this chase, and Casey Kane has had one today.
Yeah, he has. Casey Kane caught us all off guard when he hit pit road unexpectedly right here with loose lug nuts. Another crew mistake. We talked about mistakes in this race. This is a major mistake for Casey Kane. He's way down now. He's 1 lap down. He was at one time 4 laps down. He can recover, but this was a big mistake.
Currently, as they run on the outside, looking in, Kevin Harvick has been the class of the field, was out front for more than 230 laps today, but he just had an issue as well.
Seems to be a theme with this race team throughout the season. He's led so many races and dominated, but not been able to get the checkered flag. Again today, led 223 laps, had a left front tire go down. It looks like the valve stem was knocked out, the inner valve stem, when they were putting the left front tire on. That's just extremely bad luck.
Yeah,
that's all that is.
There's no doubt, Brad, that is bad luck. But one thing I've been watching on this car all day long is the shock issue on the left front that Kevin's been complaining about. A lot of movement up and down. I've had movement like that in the past at this racetrack. It's actually blown the tire out.
Wow.
So without the valve stem getting knocked out by the tire changer, which we saw a little while ago when the socket actually went through the wheel, he could have another problem with so much movement in the front end also.
Yeah. He has regained a few spots. Restarted 21st, back up now to just 19th. We'll see what else he can do. Cautions in this race. We're currently at 5. In the first 2 chase races, after halfway, 81% of the cautions have come at this point in the race. You expect the intensity to kick up a notch.
Yeah, I really do, Nicole. I think the intensity is really going to kick up big time. This entire, all these guys are due back in on lap 328 for fuel. They can make it from there on to the end of the race without fuel. But at that point, I really expect a lot of intensity to pick up, a lot of nervous drivers, a lot of radio chatter about, hey, you're missing the chase by 2 or 3 points. You got to pick it up. There's going to be a lot of anxiety kicking in with about 80 laps to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's getting to be crunch time, so I can't wait till that next restart. Hold on to your popcorn.
It will be good. Alan?
All right, Nicole, watching Jeff Gordon close in on Brad Keselowski for the race lead. Gordon has had an awfully good car today, has yet to lead a lap, though.
Yeah, we've seen him be really, really good on these long run situations. Seems maybe the best car. It's hard to say that he was better than that 4 car when he was out front, but been very, very solid all day. It's just been the restarts have been the difficulty.
Update on the 4-time champ from Doc.
Yeah, they told Jeff Gordon early in the race after a long run, he said the 2 car around lap 50 or 55 when you'll run will start backing up. And he's starting to back up a little bit right now. So you be smooth and he'll back up to you and you'll go by him. So about 10 laps from now will be 55. It looks like they're pretty true to their word. The 2's backing up and the 24 is going forward.
Well, it's certainly not helping the race leader Keselowski that he's been in so much heavy lap traffic lately.
That's so frustrating as a driver. These cars all day long have just been all around this racetrack. We've seen it happen, and with 41 cars still out there running, makes it difficult on this place. And he's asking his spotter to try to help get some of these cars to get out of the way, get out of his groove, and help him out just a little bit.
That wasn't one of the questions you asked him in your 20 questions, was it?
No, we'll get that next time.
Yeah. How do you feel about lap cars?
Yes.
Well, Brad and Jeff have put a bit of a gap on third place Kyle Busch, 2.1 seconds back to the number 3 car with Kyle Larson and Jimmy Johnson rounding out the top 5. Chase picture, Casey Kane trying to run down Jamie McMurray to become the first car 1 lap down. Only problem with that is Keselowski is about to catch Austin Dillon, which would then make Dillon the first car 1 lap down. There's Austin, second car ahead of the race leader in that number 3. Shade over, a quarter of the race left to run here at the Monster Mile. Brad Keselowski has won more races than anyone so far this season. Can he add another trophy to his collection today? 3/4 of the way home and 100 miles to go in the AAA 400 at Dover International Speedway. Reminder, go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. There's the race for the lead. Brad Keselowski 2, Jeff Gordon 24. As you look down on the Monster Mile from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Gordon had a good look at the back bumper of Keselowski there.
Definitely rolling the center better, the 24 is.
Brad's really good at getting his car off the corner. But Jeff changed his line just a little bit down there. You can see the two, a little wiggle right there.
Whoa. That was close.
Let's see which way Brad decides to go. Gordon had run the high line down in 3 and 4 last time. Got a huge run off of turn 4. Just like this. I can tell Jeff looked like his car is really good on the bottom of 1 and 2. He's a little bit better right in the center of the corner, not trying to get too high down in 3 and 4. See what he tries this time. That's where he gets a big run. You see how quickly he gets back to the throttle. If he can loosen him up, getting down into the corner.
All over your bumper here.
Coming up on a lap car here, though. Not going to be anywhere to go. There's the move. How about that? For. That's what he was wanting.
Side, outside. Breathing room behind him.
See, Brad put up a good fight, but I think the 24 is going to win this one.
First laps led all day for Jeff Gordon.
It's going to be a matter of what we see as this race winds down. Is this going to be a full run on tires? Then that gives the advantage probably to the 24 unless they can adjust his 2 car a little bit more. But if we have a shorter 40, 50 lap run, then it looks like Brad Keselowski.
Give me new tires. I'll be back.
There you go. That's right.
All right, so Jeff Gordon out in front. Let's update the bubble situation because a couple of positions have changed hands. Kurt Busch was just overtaken by Carl Edwards on the racetrack. Carl up to 12th, Kurt back to 13th. That puts Kurt on the bubble 1 point. 1 position on the racetrack to the good, ahead of Casey Kane, who just passed Jamie McMurray to pick up 1 spot. Though Casey's still a lap down in 22nd place, and the second car 1 lap down, Austin Dillon, is now the first car a lap in arrears, and the next car that Kane might be able to pass for a point or a position.
Yeah, and a problem that Kurt Busch will probably have before this race is over is Kevin Harvick moving back forward, and that could move Kurt back 1 more spot.
Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, 3rd place at stake here. 18 and 48 in some lap traffic themselves.
Yeah, we see how the track is shaded, and we've got some cloud cover. I was wondering who it might favor. You know, because that changes the conditions a little bit, and it looks like maybe it's favored Jimmy Johnson's car a little.
He's certainly been moving forward a little bit more. It looked like he had kind of stalled out right there and wasn't gaining anything as far as going forward, but now takes that 3rd spot away from Kyle Busch. What it does is when it gets shaded, the sun not baking down, it just changes this rubber, the way that it affects the cars and the way that the tires stick to the racetrack.
So Jimmy up to the 3rd position, Vince.
You know, they've been all around the sweet spot today, but they just haven't hit it. At times the cars had good drive. At times it's been a little too free. Chad Knaus just a few moments ago reminded Jimmy, they haven't led any laps, reminded Jimmy of the big picture. We just need to get out of here with a good, solid finish and move to the next round. But you better believe Jimmy Johnson wants to go to victory lane for the 3rd straight time here at Dover.
But let me ask you this. if Jimmy Johnson gets out of here and doesn't lead a lap and doesn't win this race, how are you going to feel about his championship chances when we go on to the next round, Kansas and Charlotte and so on?
Well, I've been waiting for this race just to kind of make that judgment. I heard a lot of people that have already written this team off. I'm not one of them, haven't been, but I want to see how this one goes. And it's, there's still some laps left. He can still win this thing. And everybody's going to be tied anyway next week, so it's not anything that can carry over. But I really do believe that they need to make a statement if they're going to really be considered a contender to go to the final race. They need to win a race, and this is at Dover especially.
Yeah, I've said for a number of weeks that I believe that they've been lacking speed. But after a conversation I had with Jimmy in the garage area yesterday before practice started and getting his views on just making it through this, that we weren't going to see the normal Jimmy Johnson attacking this racetrack like we had seen. He understands the importance of this, and this really at this time of year is about winning this championship, moving yourself on through and understanding what you have to do, and that's the mindset they have.
So Jimmy running third, and right now 44 points ahead of the cut line, where the championship is concerned at the end of the day. Jeff Gordon leads. Brad Keselowski has fallen a second and a half off of his back bumper. 86 laps to go. Really interesting situations unfolding where that cutoff line is concerned in this elimination race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. As we're inside the final 80 laps, Jeff Gordon coming up on Greg Biffle to put him a lap down. While Biffle slides back into Gordon's clutches, Kurt Busch continues to lose positions. The 27 of Paul Menard has just passed by Kurt Busch, and so now that puts Kurt outside the cut line. Casey Kane, 22nd and a lap down, is in by one position, and A.J. Allmendinger is 2 positions behind Kane on the racetrack. Also a lap down. Oh, and by the way, got a round of green flag pit stops coming up if we don't see the yellow flag soon.
Yeah, that could certainly change everything.
Update on Kurt Busch from Jamie.
And things just continue to get worse. They took a big swing at it last stop, and Kurt said, I am so tight. Get your thinking caps on and figure out why I'm so tight. Now he's saying he's worried he's going to blow a right front, so they're hanging on for dear life, hoping to make it to the next stop and free him up just a tad.
Williams. Remember, that's what happened to them last week at New Hampshire. Lost the right front, crashed hard, had a terrible finish, and it put him in this position of being on bubble watch today.
And it's one of the hardest tracks, excuse me, Dale, one of the hardest tracks on right fronts that you'll see. So I can understand why he'd want to try to take care of it so he can make it to this green flag stop.
Yeah, that's the driver's worst nightmare here is to get that thing so tight. You could go at the first, but you're going to pay the price at the end. And you can see him really slowing down in the center of the corner, having to turn that wheel more and more. And he's getting ready to probably lose another spot as Kevin Harvick's coming up to his back bumper.
Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, 5th place here. Kenseth right now showing 20 points to the good. And the green flag pit window is open, Doc.
Should be the final pit stop for Ryan Newman. 4 tires. They were a little bit tight in the middle still, but the car had gotten so much better than it was at the beginning of the race. Newman really liking what he's got. Should be final stop. Great stop, 12.4 seconds.
But that nervous time until everybody's been in for the green flag stop now for Newman and his team. Here's Kurt Busch in, Jamie.
Sigh of relief for Kurt Busch right now. He was so concerned about that tire. 4 tires here, an air pressure adjustment to help him, and a wedge adjustment. They need to free him up if he can move forward and gain a few positions here. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson, who's worked his way up into the top 5, doing a nice job. 4 tires, air pressure, and a track bar. They've been working in the right direction all race long. Nice job for the young guy. Doc?
Clint Bowyer says it is plowing tight. It will not turn at all. You see the chassis adjustment in the right rear. Going to put 4 tires, air pressure. Clint says we've got a top 10 car. It's not better if we just get it to turn. Jamie.
Denny Hamlin and the 11, they've been working in the right direction. Going tight to loose. They fuel the car. Let him down. Great stop. It took a little bit longer this time, but they've been getting the job done today for Denny Hamlin.
Race leader Jeff Gordon is in. Doc?
Going to be 4 tires. Jeff said they started to get tight in the middle, got pretty tight in traffic when he was trying to get around the 2 car. So far, no chassis adjustment. Going to be 4 tires, get it completely full of Sunoco fuel, and he's away. Vince.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson still too loose. Chad Knaus going to take a bigger swing at it this time. Chassis adjustment, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel for the 48. Been hanging around the top 5 all day. Dave?
Brad Keselowski told his team, we've got to get it so I don't lose the nose at the end of the run. Adjustments for that. They did say we don't want to get it too free entering the corner, though, so we'll see how they got the balance for the 2 car. 22 also on pit road, Team Penske at the same time.
Kyle Busch, car still too tight through the middle. They've been fighting the handle on it most of the afternoon. They lost several pit stops on pit positions during one particular stop when he slid through the box, but fought back through. Chassis adjustment and 4 tires. Dave?
Kevin Harvick stuck in all that dirty air, only got 3 positions during that run. Said the car was very, very tight. He'll get a chassis adjustment, 4 tires and fuel, Vince.
The 99 of Carl Edwards, remember, he's one of those trying to stay above that cut line. They've been fighting the handle today, too. A little loose in and loose off the last couple of runs. 4 tires and fuel, slight of air pressure adjustment for Carl Edwards, trying to give him a little more grip. Doc?
Allmendinger said take air pressure out of the right front, and drop that track bar. We've got to be better. We are. We're getting closer, but we're not good enough. 13-3 for Allmendinger.
They hung out there with Allmendinger trying to see if a caution might fall and help them out as long as they could. Now we'll see if the other guys being out there on fresher tires for a couple of laps is going to hurt him any significantly. Jamie McMurray finishing up the cycle of pit stops, and Jeff Gordon goes back to the race lead. So Gordon, Keselowski, then Larson, Johnson, and Logano will be the top 5 after the pit stops.
Can we make it from here? Yeah, 10-4, we can make it.
Driver wanted to know that pretty quickly.
Well, you have to know, especially here at Dover, at 1 mile racetrack where you stay in the gas a lot, you want to know to start saving fuel right from the very beginning of the run.
So take a break here, come back and reset the championship bubble picture after the cycle of stops. Focus on what might be some of the important races for position here as we go inside 70 laps to go. 2001, the last of Jeff Gordon's 4 Dover wins, is a 5th on the way today. .60 laps to go in today's 400-miler at Dover for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Our telecast presented by Pennzoil. Jeff Gordon, the race leader, and the championship picture is tight. First, an update on the fastest 4-tire pit stop since we just finished a cycle on pit road. Brought to you by Sprint. Denny Hamlin's team, surprise, fastest on that round of pit stops. Boy, they've been great. Stay connected to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with the Sprint Family Share Pack. 20 gigabytes of high-speed data to share, plus unlimited talk and text for $100 a month. Learn more at sprint.com/datashare.
Yeah, the only surprise that is it was in the 12-second, not 11-second bracket.
That's one of their slower stops.
Yep.
Still faster than everybody else.
Denny running in 10th position in this race at the moment, trying to transfer through into the second round in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. So here are how things stand at the moment. There are the final 4 in: Newman, Edwards, Hamlin, and Kane. And look that Kane is just 1 position ahead of Kurt Busch in the championship and 2 ahead of A.J. Allmendinger. That's as they run on the racetrack. So Kurt running right now in 14th place, but on the lead lap. Allmendinger 2 laps down in 24th. Kane 1 lap down in 21st.
Yeah, one of the key things in this matchup is the 41 has the tiebreaker if it happens to be a tie, and we've seen it tied quite a few times so far today as he run.
The tiebreaker with Kane in the 5.
No, it's actually the 41.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the 41 with the 5.
Right, just those 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
More than one driver in that little bubble.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm talking about the 41 5.
Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, 4th place. As the struggling Greg Biffle now a lap down in that 16.
Yeah, 2 drivers that made big gains today there. 42 of Larson and the 22 of Joey Logano. Both were kind of out to lunch at the start of this race. Fell way back, and but now they've hit on something and inside the top 5.
Well, again, we come back to that garage area conversation about crew chiefs having a plan and anticipating the changing track conditions here at this concrete surface speedway as it rubbered up through the day, and it was supposed to be a really warm, sunny day at 77 degrees still outside now. And you can really see where some people stayed ahead of and on top of that plan, or let's just say their plan worked out better than others. How's that?
Yeah, they predicted the way the track was going to go better than some. The one thing you can't really predict is how that the sun and the clouds have affected the racing surface.
Yeah, and something else, the drivers have adjusted too. The 42 and the 22 were both from the middle to the top of the racetrack earlier in this race. Now I've seen both of them run towards the bottom of the track on more laps than what they have towards the middle. So good job by those drivers adjusting to changing conditions themselves.
43 Eric Almirola. Disappointing day, 3 laps down in 28th place. And at the moment on the verge of being eliminated from the chase.
We'll have a battle for the lead here in a minute. Watching Jeff Gordon seem to be struggling a little bit more on this run. Brad said all he needed was some new tires and he'd be back, didn't he?
Dale Jr., last car on the lead lap, 19th place, just ahead of Jeff Gordon.
Gordon had called him probably about 7 or 8 laps ago and just has not been able to get by this 88 car. That's allowed Keselowski to really close in here for the lead.
There goes the 24 now. You got to figure, like we talked about earlier in the race, Junior was just scrapping all he could to stay on the lead lap in case the caution comes out, to try and have a chance to gain spots. He's in decent shape. I mean, Junior right now is 25 points to the good where the chase cut's concerned. But you can't gain any, and you can only lose them when that leader goes by you and puts your lap down. Stenhouse Jr., 17 in 18th place with leader Jeff Gordon behind him. Kurt Busch passing Tony Stewart for 13th place.
It looks like they've helped this 41 car a little bit on this run, making some adjustments. But this continues on. We're going to have a full cycle on these tires, full green flag run, and we saw the 41 really lose a lot of spots in probably the last 15 or 20 laps of a run.
Yeah, but you can see what that did for Kurt Busch. It put him in that 12th spot, tied with Casey Kane, again has the tiebreaker.
And more on Kurt's race from Jamie.
Well, they did adjust on the 41, but Kurt just radioed and said, guys, I'm just too tight. I don't understand how we completely lost the handle of this car. But like you guys were saying, the teams that kept up with the track and those who didn't, the 41 started out tight, so he's only gotten worse, whereas like a Kyle Larson started out free most of the race, and now that it's tightened up, the car is perfect.
All right, so Kurt hanging on by the very tips of his fingernails at this point with 46 laps to go. And who knows what circumstances might present themselves that can change the whole picture around. No fancy caution stat for you like last week at New Hampshire yet, but we might be getting there in a minute.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover is presented by Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic Motor Oils with Pure Plus technology, motor oil reimagined. And in part by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
And the plot thickens at the Monster Mile in the first ever elimination race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Down to 38 laps to go. Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski locked up in a good fight for the lead, and the squeeze around the bubble position is so very tight. Kurt Busch running in 13th place with Kevin Harvick approaching him for position. Kasey Kahne running in 21st place, trying to run down Greg Biffle for 20th. Right now, Kurt has the tiebreaker between the two of them by virtue of his 8th place finish at Chicagoland versus Casey's best finish in the chase so far of 13th. But there goes a point to Kevin Harvick, and now Kahne is one to the good on Kurt Busch.
Kasey Kahne's got about 3 seconds, a little more than 3 seconds to make up on Greg Biffle, and he'll get another spot from him, but he's quicker.
There is Kasey. Remember, green flag pit stop earlier in the race for a loose left rear wheel. Put him a couple of laps down. He's got one of them back, but he's running 21st place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's the 6th car, 1 lap down right now, where possibly getting a free pass is concerned.
Yeah, that's 16th, the next one, Kevin. We need to get to it. Don't put any pressure on Case, though. I mean, side with first breaker is, but we need to get to 16 regardless. Keep digging here, man. Next one we need to get is a 16. He's turn 2 now.
Just a few minutes ago, crew chief Kenny Francis up to spotter Kevin Hamlin, and then Kevin down to driver Kasey Kahne.
He has been quite a bit faster than that 16 car, anywhere from a couple of tenths to a half a second at times, which would get him there and get him another point. Very valuable.
And now, the fancy caution stat.
I knew you'd have one.
6 of the last 7 races here at Dover. The caution came out at lap 362 or later.
Well, we're later now.
That would have been with 38 to go. So you're Greg Biffle, and you're 5 positions outside this thing. You're the 5th car 1 lap down, and there's nothing you can do at the moment because you've been struggling all day.
A frustrating day, no doubt.
You see, he's not giving up. We can see him slide that car off the corner just a minute ago, but the thing just is not handling at all for Greg Biffle today.
Oh, there you see another big wiggle. I'm sure his spotter's telling him the same thing, that the 5 car's coming, and do anything you can to try to stay in front of him.
It's about a tenth and a half the last lap that the 5 car was faster than the 16.
Behind the 16, that is a race for position between Newman and Truex. Clint Boyer coming through, running in 10th, and there is Kasey Kahne in 20th place, 21st place, 1 lap down, trying to track down Greg Biffle for another point.
Well, this would be quite the comeback for this 5 team if they're able to make this happen and get themselves inside of there. It looked like they were totally going to be out of it. Had to have things kind of fall right into place as they did for them.
Now, somebody else worth keeping an eye on is Denny Hamlin, because Denny is only 5 points inside the cut at the moment. He's lead lap and runs in 11th place. He's run as high as you see as 5th in the race. Started 3rd, but he's only 5 positions to the good.
Yeah, I've been watching that a little bit, and I'm looking at the way the race is playing out. There's only 3 cars behind him on the lead lap, so that kind of puts him a little bit of a cushion because he has those 5 points to the good. But he is floating down as this race winds down to the end.
But if he can stay on the lead lap, and
that's the main thing for him.
Yeah, he's about 9 seconds to the good in that, then he will be okay. But there's still just so many cars there. Once again, anything that happens late in this race could change all of this.
So Jeff Gordon has just overtaken Kurt Busch and put Kurt a lap down in that 41. So in order to gain back that point that he needs from Kasey Kahne, or 2 points actually, there's nobody Kurt can pass going forward at this point on his lap. He needs Kasey to start sliding backwards a little bit to get a little help. Now, if the leader passes a couple of more cars and puts him a lap down, then there's a couple guys in range. But Kevin Harvick just passed Kurt Busch, and that's the next car that the leader Gordon would put a lap down.
Yeah, not only passed him, but has driven away from Kurt Busch. So not even a battle there. But we do have a battle for the lead here. Yep. But we've seen Gordon be the better car all day on the longer runs. Oh, big wiggle by the 2 right there. He's trying to get there. Nothing to lose for Brad Keselowski here. He's on to the next round.
The win in Chicagoland, the spin, and great recovery to race for the win in New Hampshire last week. Wound up a little disappointed with the finish. But certainly a solid day for Brad if he isn't able to come up with the win. Kane catching Biffle.
Yeah, one thing Biffle's had, we served those other lead lap cars around him, and as those go around, then your progress is slowed down by as you let them get by, or they take the time to get by, and that's really slowed down and let this 5 car get there. It's a very important point for Kasey Kahne right now.
After Biffle, it's another straightaway of racetrack before Kasey Kahne would find another car on his lap to pass.
And this is going to put, this pass would put Craig Biffle 6 points out.
See Kasey back up there, Biffle wobbling around in front of him.
Not going to get it done quite yet here, but his car is just so much better entering the corner and carrying speed to the center. Kasey being very careful, knows the situation that he's in right now.
Wonder what it feels like behind the wheel.
Oh.
You know, I mean, yeah, just with all that going around in your brain while you're trying to race here at Dover.
Well, you know, it's just tremendous pressure that's on you. The range of emotions that he's gone through this day, and with the loose wheel having to come in, you think that you're out of it, having to make another stop that gets you more than 3 laps down, and then having things fall your way and getting you back in this position. You're just having to stay in the moment and do your job. But that's difficult at this point in time. You know, you still have to attack, but you don't want to make a mistake.
And then for Biffle, it's just been such a frustrating day. Nothing he can really do. 6 points out and not really anybody that he can pass and going backward, really.
Yeah, they've had that kind of year. You know, they just haven't performed up to the way that we expect Greg Biffle and this team to do things.
So Kasey Kahne running 20th, Kurt Busch running 14th. 2 points, 2 positions between them. Kurt needs to try and make up a couple of spots, not lose a spot or 2 here, as Tony Stewart presses him.
On the rod, the rear end, the right rear feels like it's loose, not the wheel, but the whole rear end itself. 10-4, you're still in the lucky dog spot here. Are we still on the transfer spot?
Yes, you are.
Now, he's not actually in the transfer spot right now, but he is in the lucky dog spot. So
that, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think he was asking about where they were points-wise. He's actually a couple of points to the bad. And notice they didn't answer him on that one.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Radio silence is never good.
Never.
Tony Stewart getting ready to take that spot away now. Puts him in the lucky dog position.
So Tony to 14th and Kurt back to 15th, and now 3 points behind Kasey Kahne. There are the 4 drivers outside looking in with 17 laps to go. Kurt, AJ, Greg, and Eric. As Jimmy Johnson puts Kurt Busch a lap down to him. Jimmy running in third, 5 1/3 seconds behind leader Jeff Gordon.
And Gordon's been able to pull out a little better lead, which we expected, as we said, in the longer run. 24 cars, a little bit better.
From right up at Gordon's back bumper to a 2nd and a 3rd behind for Brad.
Yeah, still another solid day for this Penske organization, though. They sit second and fourth right now.
So running just in front of leader Jeff Gordon, the driver who had this race in control for most of the afternoon. Kevin Harvick led over half the race in that 4. He's led 223 of the laps that have been completed today, but at lap 252 had a left front flat go down, damaged the front splitter on the car. They managed to stay on the lead lap after repeated pit stops for repairs, but Kevin went all the way back to 21st position at that time and has only gone as far forward as 13th after having the dominant car in the early going.
The biggest problem he's had is that left front splitter. All the damage they did on the flat tire trying to get back to the pits.
Kevin certainly in well and clear position to transfer through, but it's going to be another race where they had what appears to have been a dominant car and don't get the checkered flag. Tough business, this one.
It is tough business, yeah. And you know, like as you pointed out, Kevin said these things are hard to win. They are. But whenever you have as many good cars as they have, this team's going to have to figure out how to make that happen if they plan on winning this championship.
Coming to 10 to go. The emotional roller coaster for Jeff Gordon and company. The fabulous race at Chicagoland to open the chase. And then the devastation of the late crash at New Hampshire when the right front tire went down on the 24 car. Put them in position here where instead of being solidly and easily through, they had to have a problem-free race at Dover to ensure they transferred. Not only has it been a problem-free race thus far for Jeff, but he's in the lead inside the final 10.
It's been outstanding, but you know as a driver sitting there, as much as you have to be concentrating on what's going on here, he's thinking about what happened last week. It looked like they were in the clear there too. So you're just sitting there thinking, okay, let's just get to the end of this. I don't need anything like that happening once again.
I will say this, though. This team has looked like a championship team almost all year long. And as you get through these cutoffs, I know they're just a whole different year, but that's the way you win championships, to be as solid as they are. Sometimes you think they're a little bit out, and they get it right back. And they had a tough week last week, and here they are bouncing back and look like they're going to close one out and win it.
Mr. H on top of the 2014 pit box.
Yeah, this is the nervous part for the owner. He knows what can happen in these last 8 laps.
We were talking about Denny Hamlin in the 11 trying to stay on the lead lap. He doesn't want to fall outside of that. He's not very far from Jeff Gordon putting him a lap down, but looks like he should be able to stay there.
Keselowski falling back off of Gordon for the race lead. Just an interesting, C.A.J. Allmendinger now just 2 points behind Casey Kane in the championship order. As other cars have struggled and fallen, Allmendinger now has picked his way up to 23rd place. He's the second car 2 laps down. He's got a ways to go before he could catch Jamie McMurray and pick up 1 more point. Will anybody come back to him? Will Kane fall off anymore and come back to Allmendinger and somehow find Cinderella circumstances in these final 6 laps?
He certainly put up a good fight today.
Boy, he's battled a bad handling race car all day long, done everything you could ask a driver to do, just gotten every bit out of this car. All it would take was one of those drivers that's a lap down to have some problems and then be able to get to McMurray. He's a ways back there.
Whoa, sliding that car off that corner.
It's all he's done all day long.
Kane 20th, Allmendinger 23rd, separated by a lap. Kurt Busch in 17th, 1 lap down. There's Casey. Right now, 2 positions on the racetrack, 2 points inside the elimination cut. Going to be a real disappointing day for Kurt that they've slid and struggled as much as they have. He was up inside the top 10 at one point.
Yeah, it sure looked like that they had a handle on things, and it may be the cloud cover and the way that the racetrack changed. They just certainly didn't keep up with it. Kurt complaining that feels like something is askew in the back end of the car.
more than just a tire or a spring or something like that.
Time running out. As Jeff Gordon crosses the start-finish line with 2 laps to go. There's Greg Biffle, also looking to be eliminated from the chase in about a lap and a half. There's Jeff up on Denny Hamlin to see if he can put him a lap down. Hamlin running in 12th place, 4 points inside the chase cutoff as Gordon comes to the white flag, and we're in the last lap at Dover. 2001, the last time Jeff won at this racetrack. It doesn't seem like the years slip by that fast.
Well, they do, though. It certainly doesn't when you look at how Jeff Gordon's driven this year.
He won the championship in that 2001 year, winning on all the same tracks he's won on this year. Checkered flag at Dover today for Jeff Gordon. Gordon's through with a win at the Monster Mile.
Hey, doing the statement, boys. That's what I'm talking about. Heck yeah. Hell yeah, Dale. How about those? Really proud of you guys.
Casey Kane finishes in 20th position. And Kane advances as the last driver through the cut.
12th right there by our numbers, but you're the official here.
Kenny Francis saying, I want to make sure somebody tells me it's official.
Then he can breathe.
Do it. At least we did it. That car ran good most of the day, man. Just thanks for hanging in there.
What a battle that was right there for the 5 car.
Kane through in the last spot as Jeff Gordon celebrates his 4th win of this season, his 92nd career NASCAR Sprint Cup Series victory. And while Gordon burns it down on the front stretch, his team owner has had a moment to exhale a sigh of relief.
Rick, you can breathe now. I saw you holding your breath those last 4 or 5 laps. First of all, how about Jeff Gordon's performance today? What a victory for the 2014.
Oh man, I think he found a use somewhere. I'm so proud of Alan, Jeff, and his whole team, man. He's got the bit in his teeth. He wants that 5th championship really bad. Really proud of the guys. This is probably the most, this last 50 with Casey trying to get in after having a problem. Jeff leading the race, not wanting a caution. Man, I'm too old for this, Jerry.
Well, you mentioned Casey. He had to drive those last 50 laps and run down some cars and get in by a couple of points. Talk about the 5 car and what they did the last 4 or 5 races of this leading into the chase.
You know, that car, he was in the top 5 all day. I mean, he could run up there, 5, 6, 7, and the car was that good. We just had a problem, had to come in and change tires, get out of sequence, and but he drove his butt off to get back there. I mean, this chase format is unbelievable. You know, you sit there and you watch, you're 1 out, you're 2 out, you're 3 out, you're 2 to the good. Oh man, this is going to be a hectic few weeks ago.
Nerve-wracking already, and we're just now a portion of the way into the chase, AB. How about this getting started for Hendrick?
You talk about the range of emotions. And then there's Kurt, who's going to find himself missing the cut line just barely. AJ Allmendinger will finish 2 points out after a struggle of a day. Greg Biffle, Aric Almirola also eliminated from the chase after finishing 21st and 28th today at the Monster Mile. To pit road and Dave.
AJ Allmendinger, frustrated throwing the water bottle in there. Talk about your day, AJ. Unfortunately, you don't move on.
Yeah, we sucked overall all day today. Just weren't good enough. We didn't deserve to make it. So I'm not disappointed about not making. I'm just disappointed in a run like this. I mean, it's all I had. I'm worn out. I tried to give everything. I was trying to get every spot possible. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and especially Hungry Jack coming on board this weekend, but just weren't good enough all day. Never could hit it all weekend, really. I know I'm way better at this place than what that looked like.
Did you think maybe after last week with such a strong run, maybe this weekend you could get it done?
I mean, anything's possible. But I know we got to run better. I mean, you're not even if we make it running 23rd, you're not good enough to keep moving forward, and that's what I wanted to do. So proud of everybody on my team. My pit crew gave me good pit stops. My crew chief, Brian Burns, I mean, he kept throwing everything at it. We knew we were behind all weekend. So, you know, we got 7 races left. Just because we didn't make it doesn't mean the season's over. You know, we can get as high as 5th in the points. We got to go run better. We got to keep building on this. Not bad for a single-car team like ours to come up 3 points short, but I hate moral victory, so I'm not going to go with it. We'll keep pushing. 7 races to go.
Trying to take away the positives. A.J. Allmendinger. Alan?
All right, Dave, from one end of the emotional spectrum to the other. Victory Lane presented today by 5 Hour Energy. Jeff Gordon is there celebrating a win.
What a drive by Jeff Gordon. Oh, getting a kiss. Unbelievable performance today, Jeff. This is sort of like we're talking to Mr. H like the old days back in 2001 when you used to come here and no one could touch you. How would you describe this day?
Well, I don't know if no one could touch us. I don't know what happened to Kevin Harvick. It was unfortunate for him, but he was the class of the field. We were, tuning on to try to compete with him. When I saw him go out, I knew we could compete with the 2 car. The 2 was really good on short runs, but we could run him down. Of course, he made us work for it there at the end because he was so good on the short runs, and he got to me, and I was really, really tight in traffic there at the end, so I didn't know if we were going to pull it off, but I'm so proud to have this orange on this Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet. Hunger Action Month is extremely important to all of us that are fighting, for the more than 9 million older Americans going hungry every day in this country, and this is a great way to take action. So thanks to them, thanks to Exalta and Pepsi and Panasonic and this guy right here. Oh my goodness, how about that?
Good man.
Oh, thank
Good
you,
job,
boss.
buddy.
I love winning when you're here, buddy. I'm so glad you came.
Told Jerry you found the fountain of youth.
I don't know what I found, but I think a lot of it has to do with Alan Gustafson and all the guys on this 24 team. They have just given me such an awesome race car team this year. I'm having so much fun.
What about this win? What it means? I mean, given the fact that the points I know are going to reset next week, but coming off the disappointment of a week ago, how important is this win toward getting that drive for the 5th championship?
I think this is huge. I mean, we came in here with a little bit of extra pressure because we weren't guaranteed to be in. Had we finished where we were running at New Hampshire last week, it would have been kind of an easy day for us. But all we did was focus on executing as a team and trying to win this race and nothing else. It wasn't about the points. It wasn't about just squeezing by to get to the next round. It's about making a statement. I don't know how you make a bigger statement than what this team just did right there.
Hey, congratulations on being a winning driver, and I think there's a little girl that wants to get Dad's attention there, so you might want to go give her a hug.
Oh, I'm going to give them a lot of big hugs. It's great to have them here.
Jeff Gordon in Victory Lane again, for the 5th time at Dover International Speedway. Alan?
Family moment. Certainly part of Jeff's inspiration to continue racing. Wanted to share these moments with Ella and Leo and his wife Ingrid.
Nothing better than having them there with you to celebrate.
So Jeff Gordon, the winner at Dover today. A break here. When we come back, those who made it in and those who got left out in this first ever elimination race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Everyone chased Jeff Gordon to the checkered flag on this day at Dover's Monster Mile. Back live as the crowd begins to file out of the Monster Mile after today's elimination race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. A look at the championship standings and the cut line. Barely in, Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin. Barely out, A.J. Allmendinger, Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, and Aric Almirola. Those drivers will be able to race for as high as 5th in the final championship standings for the remainder of the season, but do not advance past the Challenger round in the chase.
Well, there goes my perfect bracket. I only missed the 5 and the 16 swapping spots there in mine.
We got all 4 of the Hendrick cars moving on and the 3 Gibbs cars.
And now, Kansas, Charlotte, and Talladega in the contender round. Down to pit road, and let's hear from Kurt Busch with Vince.
Frustrating day for Kurt Busch, just on the outside by 6 points. What was the car like that kept you from doing what you needed to get done today?
It just was tight the last 100 miles, you know. I felt like we were in good position to advance, but you just can't expect to advance by running 15th. You have to be more competitive, and we gave it a good run, you know. The team, we put this together pretty late. You know, Gene Haas believed in me to come in here and do this, and thanks to Haas Automation and Chevrolet, great associate sponsors like Mobil 1, State Water Heaters, and Monster Energy. You know, we don't get to advance to the championship, but we can still run for pride and run for wins. You can't expect to advance running 18th, so you got to have better lap times every time you go and hit the track. If you're off, it's hard to, you know, put the car up on your back and run it. So I just chalk it up to me not getting the job done. It's all my fault that we didn't advance.
Thanks, Kurt. Kurt Busch.
And just like that, Casey Kane squeaks his way in at the end by 2 points. The day you had the loose wheel early, Casey 2 laps down. What did it take to fight your way back and advance to the next round?
Yeah, I felt like we went 4 down at one point when we pitted. We had to pit because we had done the wave around, but had a good Farmers Insurance Chevy. Had a fast car. Luckily, with Kenny made great calls. You know, the team prepared a great car. So I was fortunate to have that and drive our way back to barely advance. But I had to push hard. I'm glad NASCAR just let it go and just let us race for it, you know, and it was pretty interesting, but I'm glad we made it. We had to fight hard, and I think we had a top 2 or 3 car today. We just didn't get to show it.
There was some discussion on the radio afterwards about the pit crew. What is it going to take for you guys to be able to step up and compete in the contender round?
Well, these guys work hard, and we've struggled all season with that. But they work hard, and I know they'll keep working hard. I just told them, if you guys want to go further, it's time to step up. It's time to put our best stuff out there, and you know, I know they want to. So this will be they'll work hard this week. I'm gonna work hard. We're gonna be prepared when we get to Kansas, and hopefully we can keep moving on.
All right. Casey Kane moves on.
12th today for Denny Hamlin and into the second round of the chase. How are you feeling about it?
Feel great. You know, you never know what can happen. I knew we had a car that was capable of racing our way in, but I didn't think it was going to be that close. We just started fading there at the end, but a little bit on the defensive on my part, but still we, you know, lost the handle, but just happy this all resets. It all starts from scratch again. We got another life.
I was going to say, can you go on offense at Kansas or Charlotte coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the tracks just keep getting better for us as this chase goes on for our FedEx team. So we're sitting in good shape. We're as level as anyone right now. So you know, this is going to be a great comeback story if we keep going.
Denny, liking the look ahead.
Well, it's definitely not the interview that you want to do, Eric. A lot of people are rooting for you, one of the Cinderella stories. What's the emotion like now knowing that you guys won't advance?
Just sad, disappointed. We picked a really bad day to run like that. You know, that's kind of what we fought this year. We're just really inconsistent. We have really good weeks and we have really bad weeks. We don't ever just run consistently, and this week was proof of that. We run really good the last 5 weeks, and then this weekend we just missed it. We thought we had a really good car in practice. We were 5th quick in happy hour and 6th on average, and we just missed it. So frustrating to run like that, but we'll regroup and we'll go to wherever's next. Kansas. We'll go to Kansas and try and do the best we can. And I guess our goal from here forward should be to just not finish 16th in points.
You should be proud of what you guys did making it to the first round. That's Aric Almirola.
Brad Keselowski climbing out of his car. And Brad, you look like you've pretty well used up today. you had a great race car, but it seemed like after lap 50 or so, things would start to change. What happened?
Yeah, we just we did have a great race car. The Worth Ford Fusion here for the first 20 or 30 laps, was really strong, and I think Kevin Hart was probably the guy to beat, and it's a shame to see him have that misfortune. But Jeff was incredible on the long runs, and it's a shame. I thought we were going to win this one, but I think a yellow at the end, and maybe things would have turned out differently. But I got to give credit to Jeff and his team. They had a great car too.
Brad Keselowski finishing second, still sitting up there atop the standings.
Well, Jeff Gordon did have an incredible car over the long run and made the most of it today. Jeff, our Goodyear Superior performer, with his 4th win of the season.
Yeah, certainly high on the championship list right now. This team is performing at a very high level at every type of track.
Yeah, going to Kansas next week. That's who won there the last time we were there.
So Jeff Gordon wins at Dover. The first cuts are made in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And we still have more post-race coverage to come. We'll hope to hear from more drivers in the aftermath of today's 400-miler at the Monster Mile.
Just crazy luck. It's just unbelievable that it can happen. The shock broke first, and we could beat them on 3 shocks, but we couldn't beat them on 3 tires.
The good news is the points reset for the next round. So how encouraged by how you've run through these first 3 races that you still have a team, obviously, that's capable of winning this championship?
We can beat every car on the racetrack. We just need some good luck. If we get some good luck, we'll win races and have a shot at the championship.
Thanks for the time, Kevin.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishes 17th on the afternoon. What was your day like out there?
We had a pretty frustrating day. The car didn't drive very well, and I thought we had a little better car in practice, but we just missed it completely. Didn't have any speed. Frustrated with the way the balance was. I drove hard. The team worked hard, but 17th was as good as we could run. So that's not good enough to win a championship, but we get to move forward and start from scratch on the next weekend. Trust me, we're going to go to work, try to find everything we can to get better, but we're concerned. So it's not been a good couple of weeks, so we need to find something quick.
All right, they'll go to work on it. Kansas is next.
Joey Logano wasn't nervous at all. He knew he was going on to the next round after that earlier victory, but you had an eventful day today. Fell back, 22nd or so, and then managed to race your way back in. How encouraged are you as you move forward to the next round?
I feel good about that. This was a little bit of a tougher week for us. We didn't have a very fast car from off the truck, and Ty Gore and all the Shell Pennzoil guys did a great job getting me a car that's pretty racy. We started the race 16th. We drove up to 10th quick, and then I had a terrible restart, and I lost everything we gained and then some. And then from there, it's kind of put 4 tires on it. Let's reset and drive our way back up there. So hard-fought day, which is pretty normal for here at Dover. There's never an easy day here at Dover, so I'm glad to get something good out of it and start the next round and try to get to the next one.
Something good out of it indeed. Joey Logano finishes 4th.
All right, Vince, thanks. So, DJ and Andy, so many stories coming into this day. The first ever elimination race from the chase and the race itself also. When you leave here in a little bit, what's the one person or story you're going to be thinking of the most?
I think the thing that I think of most is Kevin Harvick and this race team. How many times they've been fast this year, since their last win in particular. Can they get back to victory lane? Can they put an entire race together to make sure that they move on to the next round?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions about that 14, but I look at the 2 car on the other side of that, and 24 also. But really, Brad Keselowski could have won all 3 of the races in this round, and I think that's the one I'm looking at to go and really make a statement in this next round. They're really in good position. It reminds me of a lot when they won the championship in 2012. I think they're really back to that form.
So now these teams have gone through this first elimination style day. The takeaway on your part from this format and this day is what?
Better than what I even expected. I was excited about the prospects of this and what it could bring. I think that what we've seen is it adds a lot more pressure, and this pressure is only going to ramp up now as you try to race 12 drivers for 8 spots. And so that's only going to intensify things. So I'm really excited about what we have here.
Yeah, we heard Mr. H talk about how much pressure it was, and this is just the first round. You wait till it starts getting the squeeze on as we move on to rounds. I think it's great. I love what we're seeing out there. I think the fans do too. There's a lot of drama, and now everybody's tied for the lead again as we go to Kansas.
Now combine both my questions to you with this, that I will take away from this day, Jeff Gordon making a statement in the championship. But Nicole, just like Andy said a second ago, the lead's all wiped away and everybody starts from scratch next Sunday.
And I still say that pressure is going to increase exponentially. So next weekend, if you like variety, how about this? The NASCAR Nationwide Series will be Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. 12 different winners in the last 13 races at Kansas. You like variety in the Cup Series? How about this? 8 different winners in the last 9 races. You can catch that race next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Of course, Jeff Gordon won the Kansas race in the spring. He won here today, followed by Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson. Inside the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio, that is where I will start with Jimmy Johnson. It's Dover. We expected him to be good. We expected him possibly to go to victory lane. Did he do enough to impress you?
He really did. I mean, he finished third. He run up front all day long. I thought he did a great job. I was concerned that, hey, Jimmy might not be back, but in my mind, Jimmy's back. He ran strong enough here at Dover to prove to me that, hey, he's got what it takes. Because, I mean, he's had a tough season, no doubt about that. We had him in countdown, had a good conversation with him. He felt good about his car, and it did run good.
He didn't lead a lap, not a single lap
Yeah, but
today.
he ran up front, though. He looked good, though.
Coming into this race, he had led the last 14 Dover races. The last time he failed to lead a lap at Dover, he was a one-time champ.
Yeah, I think the question is, did he run well today because this is his best racetrack, or has he improved somewhat? I did see some strength today, but I expected to lead laps and to dominate a little bit out of that 48. Didn't see that, but they're in the mix. Slate is clean. We'll see. We move on. We'll go to next week and see how strong they are. They're still in the hunt.
I do want to talk about Team Penske. Once again, a strong performance out of both of their drivers today. Brad Keselowski finished second. Joey Logano finished fourth. Their average finishes in the first 3 races, 3.0 for Brad, 3.3 for Joey Logano. It's not just one driver, it's both. As we move on to the next round, are we still looking at them?
Oh, absolutely, we're looking at them. There's no doubt about that. I mean, going into Kansas City, a fast, 1.5 mile racetrack like that, they have got what it takes right there. Joey Logano's proved that he's almost a little bit better than Brad Keselowski of late on those 1.5 miles. So I think both cars are going to be solid. I didn't see a scratch in either one of those cars today, by the way. They had a smooth run today. Real solid.
You almost feel bad for them because they've run so well these last 3 races that they don't get to utilize those points going forward. I feel bad for them. That's awful.
Really?
Yeah.
Your car
Yeah.
isn't able to advance.
No.
But how proud of you of how far you've come to this point?
Yeah, the effort was there, but we ran so poorly today. If we had got snuck into the bottom, I wouldn't have been happy because we're not where we need to be. But everybody worked really hard, and we'll keep racing hard. We can finish as high as 5th.
Personally, I can't wait to see how this chase plays out, Alan.
All right, Nicole, thanks. So here at Dover today, in the 3rd race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, Kevin Harvick dominated, leading over half the race. But valve stem knocked off a tire, set Harvick back, and he wound up only finishing in 13th. And a late race duel between Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski for the win came out in Gordon's favor. A long green run to the finish played into the hands of the 4-time champ, whose drive for 5 is very much alive. Next week it is Kansas City. The Nationwide Series Saturday, 3:30 Eastern here on ESPN. And next week's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race presented by Dodge is ESPN at 1 Eastern next Sunday. More coming up on SportsCenter. Here at the Monster Mile today, Jeff Gordon takes home the Mini Monster Trophy for his 5th win here in Delaware.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.